Vanderpump Rules reunion part 2. We talked about it last night. We're going to talk about it again today, but with a special guest. So make sure you grab a beverage. Hopefully you're wearing something comfy. Smash that like and let's get started.
If you like what you see, come and get it with me. I know you deserve all you want, 'cause your heart's made of gold. But don't wait till you're old. If you want it, I get you some.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to my channel. Stand-up comedian and pop culture vulture Joleen Lunzer here to talk all about Vanderpump Rules. We're still talking about Vanderpump Rules season 11 reunion part 2. All right, you guys, I have a very special guest with me today, but let's get the little household items out of the way. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe. I think we might be like 1,400 away from 40,000 subscribers. So thank you guys so much. Also, like if you can. We set a like goal for 1,000 for this video. Can this video get 1,000 likes? I think you can do it. You guys have been killing it with the likes. If you want to support me further than liking or subscribing, it's not at all necessary, but you can always send a super chat while we're live. I'll highlight your comment. We can talk about it. You can send a super thanks after the video posts. Thank you to those of you who have done that. You can hit me up on the Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. You guys have been so generous. Thank you. Otherwise, check out my YouTube membership or my Patreon. But again, just you being here, participating in the live chat is really all a gal from Minnesota could ever ask for. But just to remind you, we're going to take a comedic look at things. Myself and my guest, we're going to be very opinionated. We're going to be very biased. It's just we're fans watching the show. But remember, you don't have to have that same opinion. You're welcome to your own opinion in the chat. As long as we're not being buttholes, we can just agree to disagree and talk about this silly show.
That's my opinion!
That's it. As simple as that. So those are, that's all we have to do. Yes, Valerie, the housekeeping. So welcome, you guys. I am so excited. You guys are always requesting this collab. I've collabed on his podcast and his channel. He's been over here and now we're having him back and we just go back and forth because we have so much fun together. You guys know him from So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. You can check him out. I pinned in the comment section in the live chat his link to his website where you can find everything to go support him, subscribe to him, like his stuff. I mean, he kills it. I can say all the good things about this man, but he literally is hilarious. He makes fantastic content and he is here today to talk with us and do our silly impressions about Vanderpump Rules. So you guys give a warm welcome to Mr. Ryan Bailey. What's up, friend?
Yeah, Tom Sandoval redemption season part 2. He has been redeemed. All right.
It's over.
It's over. He's redeemed. Season's done. All right.
We did it.
Yeah, we did it. Woo!
Oh, yeah. Woo, baby. He's like lightning in a bottle.
Let's get this to 2,000 likes. I'm always so confused with the likes thing, but I want everybody to like this because that way I can keep coming back. So like.
Even if we get negative likes, I'll keep having you back, Ryan. Okay?
Wait, can you get negative likes? Is that a possible thing? Negative likes?
Well, people can give a thumbs down, but unfortunately it's still, you don't see it anymore. You used to see it, but YouTube took away the option to see that. So when you do that, you're just engaging in the video and you're actually still helping me in the algorithm.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let's try not to do too many negative likes. That would be.
Well, we can't see it. So you could do all negative likes and I'll never see it. So it doesn't matter. How are you doing?
I'm good. I got back. I was overseas like 2 days ago and I got back and I got to tell you, I spent a week without Vanderpump Rules and it was pretty nice. And then to come back and really, I hadn't watched the first part of the reunion until I got back on Monday night. So I was a week behind. I had seen clips and it's so funny how it immediately gets you back into that, oh God, this is a mess. I'm so happy that we are so near the end of this season because I think they need a break. We need a break. And I get it's like a murder trial that is just constantly ongoing. And once again, it's we should be mad at these men. And all of a sudden I'm mad at Lala. How am I more mad at Lala than I am at Tom Sandoval at this point? I'm so confused and it's making my head hurt.
I know. I agree with you 100%. The more I see, and I'll show you the picture that Sheena posted that I saw that really made me go, oh, what could have been the Spice Girls season that we all deserved. And it was this picture right here of all the women. I'm sure this is before the reunion. And I'm like, oh, Ryan,
Yeah.
wouldn't that have been so great if we would just be watching these four powerhouses just take these dudes to task and really give the Toms the season they deserve?
It would have been a comedic season. We would have laughed so much because they would have been able to kick and prod them in ways together that would have been like the Avengers. But it's great, this picture, because you see Katie and Ariana, and they look tentatively in this photo. They kind of look like, listen, like, we're here. Like Lala and Sheena are like fully smiling. Katie and Ariana seem very tentative, which they should be, because how would you watch any of this reunion or this season and want to ever confide, especially in Lala, about anything? Like, I'm so confused. I call Lala at this point a producer's pet. She's like a producer's pet thinks she's doing like the Lord's work. And I'm so confused. Even after part 2, I'm even more confused watching the extended version than I don't know. It's just a mess.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, let me get your first thoughts. Thank you, Christina, for the first super chat. We have a new podcast name, Rylene. They're doing hashtag Rylene.
Yeah. By the way, yeah, I can't wait. You got to come back on in the next couple of weeks too, so we can like
anytime
do the wrap up. But I had such a blast last time, and people genuinely love you. I know Christina Byington listens to both of us. Amy, listen, like, we have a lot of mutual people. So I'm so excited to be here. I hope I'm making sense, because I think I'm still a little jet lagged. And I just like going from not having any Vanderpump Rules to like all of a sudden going back to Vanderpump Rules and then the Valley. It is just so dark. Like, it's wild. But listen, something about her is open today. It is officially open. So Lala can go choke on the nothing about her joke that she keeps putting out there. So everybody go get those sandwiches.
And Lala, as we like to say it, like Rachel Raquel, Lala thinks she's doing something, but she's not, because the restaurant.
These ladies are out. If I hear her say what's going on in these streets, oh, they're out in these streets. Like, she's always out in these streets. Like oh no, that's my home slice. That's my home. No, Katie's my homie. Katie's my home girl. Like, oh, I don't know why I'm this frustrated.
Well, you have every right to be frustrated. Let me get your opinion. So the reunion showed us that Lala weaponized her private DMs with Katie to kind of, it seemed, make this not kind of, but blatantly push out this narrative that Katie is not honest, that she's phony, that she has all these same feelings about Ariana, and that their friendship, there's cracks in the foundation. What did you think about Lala and airing these messages, and just all your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think it's shady in a couple of ways. Like, I think it's like a producer. It's like she really is helping the producers in that sense of, listen, these are private conversations or private DMs had off season, which all of them do. Now, Lala, like, and also Katie, I believe, was making the point of, well, I already fixed this. Why would I go back to this anger that I had over this certain situation after I already talked? Why would I do this just because you want a storyline? It reminds me so much of Lisa Rinna when she started getting really annoying for me during Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, where she would lean on other people's storylines instead of having her own. And it's like, Lala, why are you trying to create other people's friction instead of focusing on what you can do for the show? And if you really want to do something for the show, and they've been heavily hinting at it, go sleep with Tom Schwartz. If you want to do something, if you really want to save the show, go sleep with Tom Schwartz, because you just pointing out other people's anger and wanting to get Ariana and Katie in a fight, that's not your place. And if they are already past that, I kind of agree with Katie on this. And by the way, it does get brought up. It got brought up in the reunion. So it's not hidden, but Lala keeps going back to this same well, like last night, when she was like, listen, you laughed, Ariana, when Charlie brought me up in a scene from season 9. You laughed. How dare you? And Ariana's like, well, we did film a scene. It didn't make it to air, but we did film a scene, and I apologize to you for that. So at this point, it's really hard to start. It's hard not to believe that Lala doesn't have a huge issue with Ariana. Like, it's now getting past even like helping producers. It seems like Lala genuinely has an issue with Ariana. And I hope Lala, she would never be able to listen to this where she understands it. But like, I hope she understands that the audience, this is how we see it because of how it's presented. I don't know anything else that's going on behind the scenes, but how they edit it and present it, it comes off like she's very jealous to me.
It does come off extremely jealous. And you know what's interesting about that point, or the thing that she tries to point out about Ariana and Charlie in this comment that was made is, first of all, that was in 2022. So a lot of people I've seen, they've been saying, oh, so you're pulling up stuff from 2022 to like make something happen with Ariana and make some kind of beef or make it look like she's a bad friend. Also, do you know who else stayed silent in that scene? Tom Sandoval. So why are you trying to save and be a part of the redemption arc for Tom Sandoval if he too, and he's actually said those things, him and Schwartz, calling you a, bootleg housewife, homewrecker,
Yeah,
those
yes.
sort of things. So it doesn't make any sense that you'd be just mad at Ariana.
Well, I feel like the women have all accepted that the men are complete idiots. So they almost discount anything that the men have said. And they really fight with, like I'm saying, the women have gone after each other instead of supporting each other. And then, it's like interesting. If you compare it with this season of Summer House, all the women are actually listening to each other, talking with each other, helping each other, even if they have disagreements, but you really see them band together. And you see the exact opposite in Vanderpump Rules. And I find it very interesting. And I was mentioning this on Tuesday's episode I did on the podcast, was that this show got really used to kind of not staged, but like faker storylines, like Dog's funeral, the lizard, and all of these kind of things.
Yeah.
And then it almost got forced to be real again because of Scandival. But Scandival wasn't a planned thing. It was accidental, and they were forced to be real. And I think what you're seeing now is a show not fully accepting that they're so used to being fake in certain ways that they are now forced to be real. And it feels very uncomfortable for a lot of people in it because they're so used to having things staged or presented a certain way. And I think at the end of the day, I would love a recap just from the producers after the reunion saying, this is what we thought going into this season. This is what we thought in the middle. This is what we thought we did good. This is what we thought we did bad, because I'm so confused at what story they're trying to tell this season.
Exactly. And I think that I agree with you. I would love to hear from Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog and Alex Baskin-Robbins to see like what
Jeremiah was a bull.
What were you men thinking? Why did you think anyone would want this Sandoval redemption arc? I don't understand it. I don't get it at all. And to come back on your point about the produced kind of storylines. So we hear Lala and Sheena kind of preaching this realness, be real, say how you feel. Yet then Sheena's on her podcast saying how she loved the Tori storyline, which is clearly very produced and not real.
That was such a fake storyline that it's like a grain of truth in there, and I felt bad for Tori. I really do. I mean, this is a very young girl, and I love Katie, but I was like, I thought it was gross all the way around. This is like a 23-year-old girl that I'm like, wait a sec. Like, this isn't even cute to me. This is like weird on both sides, Katie and Schwartz. And then this poor girl just gets thrown to the side. Like, we don't hear from her ever again. Like, I hope she has like a really nice therapist, because I can't imagine what it's like being there for like a 1.5 episodes. Like, thank God we don't because she could be like Joe too. Like, she could be Joe part 2 if she kept pushing. And thank God, like, go save yourself, Tori. I'm glad. Go be free. Because we see what the Joe ramifications have been.
Well, and allegedly Tori is, I say allegedly because I think I saw this on her Instagram. She's like a singer, and she didn't even get to promote. She didn't even get to perform or promote her singing. So what was the point?
Imagine that. Imagine going on someplace and then not being able to promote whatever product. I mean, even Joe is out there pushing Joe My Gosh hats, trying to get like money for her dog. I mean, like, it is interesting. These little side characters, though, and I think the Valley even shows this as well, is that it's like real dangerous. It's that, they have all of these like side hanger on people that are their friends. It's like, that I'm not saying that they're there to eventually be on the show, but I'm not saying that. And you kind of see that like there's like Joe's like, I'll never be on the show. And then all of a sudden Joe's on the show, and you can kind of tell, even if you like Joe or don't like Joe, you can tell she kind of likes being there. She really, all of a sudden, it's like, must be intoxicating, where she really likes going live on Instagram. So all of a sudden she has people wanting to ask her questions and listen to her. And that's got to be very intoxicating. I just think that's a really dangerous position for anybody that hasn't been in it before.
Well, I think, speaking of Joe, Joe was on the Vanderpump Rules Party Pod. Shout out to them. They had Joe on as a guest. I got through half of it. It's a lot, but definitely go show those ladies all the love and listen to the episode. I'll probably do a separate video, but I want to get your thoughts about a few things she said. And Bear is talking about this, that Billy Lee. So Joe talks about this on the Vanderpump Rules Party Pod that came out today. And then Billy Lee, according to Bear, said this on her podcast today, that production called Sandoval to let him know he'd have an arc. He'd be hated, but that the people would end up liking him. And I feel like, actually, I'll pivot a little bit. So this, and then I feel like they also told that to Lala and they sold that to her. And I also have seen people posting, posting it to little clips together of how they think that she maybe was offered potentially that down the road or something, if all goes well, she and her family could have their own thing. So do you think this is 100% producers were like, all right, here's the deal, Tom, here's what we're going to do. And then Jeremiah was a bullfrog, called Lala, had that call. They tried to loop Katie in to get her on board with the let's make Sandoval likable. Ariana's probably leaving. What's she really saying? And now it just blew up in their face.
Well, I mean, a little bit. I think there's like kernels of truth everywhere. And I think I'm not as like production confuses me, but at the same time, at the end of the day, they're just trying to they're just trying to get through potentially a shitty job. You know, like there are people out there like, I just got to create a storyline. And they've done this for 11 seasons. Reality shows and especially Bravo shows have a way they operate. So like those calls that Jeremiah has with like Katie or Lala, those are normal because they're like, what's going on in your life? Let's try, what storylines do we have? Also, in terms of Tom telling Billy Lee that production said he would have an arc, you kind of got to also discount that because Tom has now been proven a liar. So Tom could be like running his mouth about anything. You know, Tom said, oh, like I'm kind of a producer on the show. I'm kind of this. Tom has been known to lie about things. So we kind of got to discount that as well. And I also don't subscribe to the, wow, they really pushed this Tom Sandoval redemption arc, because if they really did, you wouldn't even have that last moment in there where Tom has the hot mic and he's like, good for me, dude. You wouldn't have had that moment if they were trying to make him look good. I think they tried to help him, but he hung himself in so many ways. He went rogue, and he was the one that did the New York Times interview and the Nick Viall interview without any sort of permission. That was done without Bravo's knowledge or consent or anything. So they knew Tom would like hang himself. So I don't necessarily that, but I do think they do things like, how do we move it forward? I think they did actually try to enlist Lala as an ally, and I don't think it was that hard to do. I just don't think they saw it clearly. That's why I'm so curious what their real plan of action was. And I think even for them, because they're so used to a certain way of working, that they don't trust that we would be fascinated with the truth, that we could actually just watch the actual truth. Like, let's watch them fight over brand deals. Let's watch them be insanely jealous of Ariana. Let's watch the truth. I think they're still thinking that they need we need to do it at a water tasting. No. We need to pin sperm on a uterus. Like, no. I think they get confused of what they think we need. And I think we're breaking down those how they've done it in the past. I think they're realizing that they can do it potentially a different way, but who knows?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that they initially, in my belief, I do think there was kind of this redemption, Sandoval thing. But I think, like you said, they kept giving him all these opportunities and he kept shitting on it because that's the kind of person he is, because he's not sorry. He doesn't show any contrition. He doesn't care. He is that much of a narcissist that he's like, it'll be fine, fine. And we're just like, ugh, Sandoval. So I think by the end, they're like, just let him hang himself, with that last comment, which just in the finale told us everything we already knew. But then it made me feel like the whole season was wasted on forcing people to befriend and forgive Tom before they were ready. By weaponizing mental health and be like, oh, Tom will hurt himself. It's like, it's all for naught. Like, you must feel so dumb now, knowing that, like you said, the guy continually, New York Times Magazine, Nick Viall, like his own podcast, every chance he got, he shit the bed.
I love the fact that Tom was complaining in the first part of the reunion. He's like, dude, I'm watching CNN, dude, and it shouldn't be on there. Like, I love the fact that Tom's like a big news head. He's like, I'm trying to get real news, dude, and I keep popping up. Like this guy's effing watching like CNN or MSNBC trying to get the real news, and then he's offended. Like I just find it so ridiculous. I find it ridiculous that Brock didn't even read the New York Times article, and I like that they acted like that was cherry picking his bat. I read the entire article. I did like a 2-hour podcast on it. It's bad front to back. It's not even just cherry picking though. It is bad front to back, and that's why I think it's hysterical. Even then, when we present this version of it, of like, oh, that's just like these like a couple bad quotes within a good article. No, it was a bad front to back article that made him look like an a-hole. And Lisa Vanderpump having to explain some basic therapy to him of like, Tom, you brought up suicide on the show with me, but with Ariana it was a private conversation. Don't you understand the difference? I don't understand how Sheena even makes him apologize for weaponizing the mental health in one of the final episodes of this season, and he still doesn't get it by the time we're at the reunion. Like, I think this man, and I hate it, like, all we needed was just a little bit of actual contrition. I truly believe, and I feel bad for saying he has shit for brains. He truly has, I don't think he means harm, but he truly has shit for brains, and it's hard to argue that he is not a narcissist at this point.
It is very hard to argue that. And I think.
Sorry, I went off there, you guys. I get really. This is too early to get this upset. So.
Go off. I think we are having a little bit of a lag with your connection, though. Where I see it freezing up. So I don't know if maybe you're on the. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I've just been noticing it, and I want the full Ryan Bailey facial expression experience. So we can let you take a look at that. But I agree with you to mostly, but I think that he means to do it too. I think he's just an overall narcissistic asshole. I don't think it's that. I do think he's dumb, and he did say he was dumb, and he's shown us he's dumb. But I also think that he's been so privileged on this show, and he's unwilling to see anyone else's side because he truly believes that he is right.
And the thing is, and Schwartz is like a pre-Sandoval. Like Schwartz is like but he's so damn charming. Even in this reunion, when Katie almost reveals that she slept with Max again, he's like, "We're the same. We're the same.
No,
we're the same. We're the same."
No.
And it's so cute the way he does it. And I'm like, this is not the same at all. But it's so cute the way that you speak and the way that you try to present your ideas, even though that you're fundamentally wrong. But I will say, I was shocked that Katie slept with Max again, potentially. Like that was shocking to me because Max truly seems like a shitty best friend. If that's Schwartz's best, like Max seems like, didn't Max make it seem like Katie seduced him?
Max is super shitty. And but I have a firm stance over here, Ryan, that Katie, now that Schwartz has just continually disrespected her, and after her what she had to deal with in season 10, I want Katie to run a train through his friend group, through his family. I want her to get his grandpa. We do choo-choo. We put our trains in the chat. Just run that train, Katie. So if she's got to keep sleeping with Max to get the point across to Schwartz, I'm on board. Because at this point, Schwartz's cuteness has worn off to me. I see what he's doing, and I think a lot of people are of the opinion now that Schwartz is worse than Sandoval, because at least with Sandoval, you see it coming now. Now we see, but Schwartz is still hiding it behind that little cuteness, Ryan. That little nervous fingers on my mouth, fingers on my mouth. Well,
he's so cute. He is so cute.
I don't think so. I'm so over.
No, but like you can see where people buy into that completely. Yes. You see where it completely works for him. And it's 100%. Interesting because when you compare him to Sandoval or Jax, he comes off like a saint. He comes off like so charming when compared to Sandoval or Jax. He's like that middle, he's just so cozy in how he presents himself.
Yes. And he does pretend to kind of understand why he hurt people. However, he never changes it. He never changes the behavior. So then it's just it's just lip service at this point. And so now you're like, so you continually treat women like this, but it's literally just lip service. Now, getting back to the original thing I wanted to bring up with Billie Lee is both Billie Lee and Joe have confirmed that Billie Lee stopped being friends with Tom Sandoval.
Oh my God. What a miracle. What? Wow. He went from like everything that this man did, like Billie Lee watching Tom come out of a cold plunge, acting like it was the most miraculous thing. She was like, oh my God. Look at him. He's surviving cold water. He's like Jesus. Oh, like I have never seen such adulation over watching a man do a basic thing. But like, what do you presume that Billie Lee is upset about?
Okay, so Joe said on the Vanderpump's Royal Party Pod, I want to give the girls a shout out, that Billy had to finally put up her boundaries, and then alluded to the fact that it might be because of new girlfriend, aka ex-girlfriend of Leonardo DiCaprio, Victoria, might have said he couldn't be friends with Billy Lee. It might have something a little bit to do with that, which, if that's the case, kind of strange, since early in their relationship, it's been very heavy social media presence. We saw Victoria really show up for Billy Lee, through my research, Ryan, or my stalking online. When it was Billy Lee's birthday, I think she was at the Laugh Factory, and Victoria brought her a cake. But maybe then she noticed that, these two might still be banging. So we might have to put a boundary up.
God, it is all so toxic. Like, and although I love that this is what made Billy Lee set a boundary. It was like not any of the other things or Tom Sandoval lying and cheating for this finally is the thing. And I find it hysterical that we keep bringing up the Leonardo DiCaprio date. Like, didn't they go on 3 dates 10 years ago? Like, imagine that's like the high point of your resume. I mean, like, I don't know this person. She seems fine. It's a little weird that she keeps saying she didn't see the show. I'm like, well, maybe watch an episode. Have you seen it now? Like, have you, like, I don't think it'll change any. It just goes to show you, no matter what you do, there will always be people that support you. There will always be people that will love and support you. So don't feel too bad for Sandoval. It's all good. It just, he's not used to not being a hero.
That's the perfect way to say it. And I think that's like my whole argument when it comes to cancel culture. People are like, cancel culture. I'm like, there's not a cancel culture. There's definitely an immediate consequence culture, but there's an audience for everyone. If you look at anyone that's ever been allegedly canceled, they all either thrive and do so much more, or they just find their audience. They just weren't for that particular audience. You can see it with, Roseanne, just in comedians, Louis C.K., Shane Gillis, like they were all supposedly to be canceled, but yet they just had to pivot into where those views or those actions would fit. And now they're all doing very well. So
yeah, people will still go and see Tom Sandoval in The Most Extras. I mean, like, listen, he's going to be out there probably all summer long now that they're not picking up filming. So, it's one of those things that you feel bad, but you only feel bad to a degree. And if you watch the Vanderpump Rules after show, even in today's episode, him, Schwartz, and Jax are talking, and they're all laughing about like Sandoval continually putting his foot in his mouth this last year. It's like, oh man, dude, I can't say anything right, dude. It's crazy. And they're all laughing at it, kind of like high-fiving each other. And it's like, yeah, but maybe why don't you look at that? Why don't you look at like actually what you're saying? Like, I really, even though he'll say he's going to therapy, I truly don't believe he's going to therapy. I truly, truly don't believe in any sense. And because wouldn't you want, like, even at the reunion, wouldn't you guys be interested in Andy, like, doing some follow-up questions of like, Tom, legitimately, what have you learned this year? Like, or Andy even pointing out, like, it's so weird because you will apologize, but I've noticed you'll even say, but I even noticed you'll be angry. Like, where do you think this anger comes from, Tom? Like, I would like a whole hour of just where we're at with Tom. And it seems like we're blowing past him to get to like Lala and Katie, or Katie and Ariana. Or Sheena.
I know. And it's so frustrating because this second part seemed like most of it was just unnecessary. So we get a bunch of Sheena being like, Sheena, how did you feel how did it hurt? Ariana's breakup hurt you? How did it hurt you when Ariana got Dancing with the Stars? And then I'm just like, what's happening here? Like, are we ever going to get, Ryan, Sheena at a place where she's not going to be simping for Lala now, and she's going to realize why fans are having this strong of a reaction to her behavior and the things she's doing this season?
No, because I feel like this is her like thesis statement. Is Sheena considers herself a very good friend. I will like, and you notice that even when Lala speaks, Sheena's going to be the first person to back her up at this reunion. Like Lala will be like, oh, Andy, have you seen the Hulu documentary about Randall? Have you seen this? Like Sheena will immediately jump in there. And like, listen, it's like, I've said this all season long. I want somebody to do that for Sheena at some point, or I want Sheena to be like, you know what? I am who I am. You can be friends with me or not. I'm not going to really make an effort, but that's just not who Sheena is. The unfortunate thing though, is Sheena sometimes picks the people that, have some of the, worst ways of thinking about things, like it is interesting because I would be so curious now to go back and look at Sheena and Ariana's early friendship before the show even started to see where they connected, because they seem like two very different people. And I'm not saying I dislike either one of them, because like, listen, it's hard too, because I've been on Sheena's podcast a couple of times, and that sometimes makes me not a reliable narrator when I talk about Sheena. But I will say, like, when you talk, like, she's very Sheena. She's very like, she's just who she is. And like, I was trying to explain to her what I think about Lala, and I think what some of the fans, and you can tell it just doesn't land, or like she's so set in a certain way of thinking. And I think that's because she thinks she's being a good friend. I think, a year from now or even less than, she'll realize, man, what did I do this season? Because it just seems like I'm coming out on the bottom when I didn't have to be. Like, that's what I'm saying. With all these women, it was right there for them. All they had to do was like stick together and say, this is a bad thing. And that conversation between Ariana and Lala was fascinating, when saying, I don't need you to understand it, Lala. I just need you to respect it. I just need you to respect it. Like, how much clearer and well communicated can you be? And Lala just can't listen. She can't keep quiet enough to, like, because I think she thinks if she keeps quiet, she loses. And it's not about winning or losing. It truly should be about like actual understanding. Like, I don't know what it's like to be Ariana or go through this, but I respect what she's going through. Yeah. Like, oh man, that's gotta be weird that you meet somebody a month after, but like, I don't care. As long as you're happy, as long as that person treats you right, I respect your decision, because you haven't like screwed me over, and you haven't seemed to do something like wildly egregious like the rest of this cast yet.
Yeah. I loved I think it was the last time you were on Sheena's podcast, and you did it in such a great way, Ryan. We talked about it over here, how you kind of pushed back on Sheena, but in a very respectful way, because it's her platform and you are friendly with her. And it's a tough position to be in, because I think people assume when you're going to go on the cast members podcast, you might just end up being very a yes person, agreeable. But you seem to have want to have a real conversation with her, and you pushed back on Lala's behavior this season, and you could immediately tell Sheena was very uncomfortable. Was it that uncomfortable in person?
It was. Well, listen, because I get nervous about those things. I get nervous about anything, really, but like, I got nervous because I wasn't going to just like change the way I feel. And I can also say I really like Sheena in those situations, but also as a fan, I kind of just wanted to like throw it out there and see what she says. Like, she's been there from the beginning. She knows stuff that none of us knows. Like, what a great resource. And I always worry about things like that, because I'm like, well, maybe I won't get asked back. Maybe I won't, like, because it's fun to be there. It's a great platform and stuff. And like, I don't know. It's like, but I would rather do that than just like sit there and go, yeah, haha. Like, it doesn't, like, I would rather be able to try to find some kind of truth, or like try to explain what we're seeing as an audience.
Yes. Well, I appreciated that from you, because it would be so easy to just like sit there and not challenge it at all. But I felt like you did it in a really respectful way, but you still challenged it. And I saw like the Vanderpump Reddits were giving you shout outs for it. So props to you for that, because that is it's a rough place to be. That's usually why I don't even want to mess with any of their podcasts, because I feel like it would be very uncomfortable, but you maintain the professionalism and all of that. So, but yeah, I just saw her eyes and she's like, oh, Lala's going to hear this, because we know that she's already so anxious, Sheena.
I was sweating. I remember walking out with Kiki, who was on that with me, and I was like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, because I felt like I was like, did I just completely make an idiot out of myself? I was like, you understand what I'm saying, right?
No, I thought you did a really good job, because I think people expect like, oh, you're going to show up and you're going to be like, and it's like, that's not how you're going to ever have a constructive conversation. Obviously, would I want to, like, if I was like talking to Lala in person, would I want to be like, what the fuck are you doing? But she's probably not going to respond to that. So I'd have to probably put a little bit of honey in there. To get her,
like, I would never agree to go. I don't think I would ever agree to go on Tom Sandoval's podcast. I don't think I would ever agree to go on Lala's podcast, because you wouldn't get anything out of that. Like, there's just you're not going to get past anything. Like, there's nothing. There would be nothing good about that, I don't
I
think.
have to get your thoughts. We'll play this little clip. I have to get your thoughts on Lala now. Yeah, after talking about the season, doing every interview she could, just trying to put salt in Ariana's game and disparage her, and so that you guys are going to understand where I'm coming from, and then to go on her podcast, and I'll play the clip, and then call us rabies bitches because we didn't agree with her. Okay, let's take a listen. Then I want to get Ryan's thoughts on this.
The finale episode of Vanderpump aired last night. Did anyone watch it? Did they show my purge?
I was unaware. I was supposed to be watching Vanderpump
Don't
Rules.
worry, I didn't watch either.
Okay, okay. We will be watching, though, because, yes. we'll
That's
be
why I
watching.
just asked, do I have to watch this?
No.
Or can I just freeball it when we're talking about it?
No, because I'm not going to talk. I'm not addressing any VPR
Beautiful.
news
Don't wanna watch any
until
of-
third
so I
part of the reunion. And it's
Beautiful.
going to be very quick. You guys don't need to weigh in. I don't want questions. I'm going to say my piece. We're going to move on. And I never want to discuss season 11 again. And I hope by that time everyone gets their fucking rabies shots because they're foaming at the mouth. These fucking bitches in these streets on socials. I'm like, yo.
Amen, amen. We got
Make me tired.
what?
I said they make me tired. The rabies bitches.
Oh.
Okay, so
White Boy Dreads called us rabies bitches, Ryan.
What in the
Thoughts?
what in the steampunk hell was that? Was that girl's wearing like a huge four non-blondes hat? What is a cat in a hat? And then we got Counting Crows over there, and like I mean, first off, like I'm going to talk about it briefly, and I don't want anybody to join in. Yeah, it's a great podcast, great conversation you're starting. Like I'm going to mention it briefly. Nobody's going to chime in, and then we'll never talk about season 11 again up in these streets. Like I find it so ridiculous. You call yourself any kind of communicator, and you can't be like. It's like, oh my god, you get called out on something. And it's easier to say that we all have rabies instead of listening to anything that we say. Like, I mean, I have to listen to the most sometimes like hurtful things about myself. And I'm like, I guess I got to take it, Like what if I went on every day and been like, F all of you, screw all of you. Like, you got to like decide what's like, there's just no, that's what makes La 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 La. I guess I just I'm not with it this season. I'm not with it. I think that's just weird and gross. And, they're up there saying this and send it to Daryl merch. It's so weird. And like,
It's so
not
weird.
even, you have two houses that you that you got. Like, I don't know why I have to worry about where Lala's paycheck, like that she keep like, I have to worry now that Lala is able to take care of her family. Why do I have to worry about that? Like, that should be your thing. And I don't know why you have to then like, well, you better worry about how I make a paycheck. Like, what? Like, make a paycheck by being a real person. And like, I'm so for her pregnancy journey. I think it's amazing. I don't think it makes for great TV, but I'm so here for her. And I think it's so beautiful how she expresses herself and how she wants to have so many kids. But I don't think it makes great television. And maybe that's why she feels a little bit insecure about wanting to create other storylines that she's not in to try to prove her worth. And maybe I was speculating this. Maybe there's a little bit of insecurity because she's not an OG. She's not from season 1. So maybe she's constantly trying to prove her worth. I don't know. But this to me isn't it. She'll always have her defenders. But I even hope that her defenders can realize this isn't a good look for your hero. Like, this isn't a good look. I just personally, that's where I come from.
Yeah, no, it's not a good look. And again, it's like biting the hand that feeds you. And for someone who is like, I keeps it real, I gets to clapping, Tupac's inside me, Lauren from Utah. For someone who's like keeps it so real, the first little pushback you get, rather than taking it, like Ryan said, as constructive criticism, you shut down all communication in your comments, and you name call the people who don't agree with you as rabies bitches. And the wonderful Christina Coca did a montage of
I love
this.
her.
Where at one time Lala was saying this about herself. So it's what I've noticed this season is Lala is she's just not who she's supposed to be yet. She's very lost. She doesn't know who she is. That's my opinion. And so a lot of the things and her insecurities and the stuff she has said about herself, she is projecting onto the fans and onto Ariana and other people. So what Lala's doing, it's coming off very disingenuous because she's talking out of both sides of her mouth. And I think you can't have a brand where it's like, I keep it real, give them Lala. Well, what's Lala? Because it's over here, it's over there, and it's not making any sense. It's not fun.
No, I just feel I don't know. It's really weirdly disappointing, and I really try to understand. I feel like she's running for office. I feel like she's about to announce her candidacy because it's like she really like you can. And I feel like none of these people realize that they've been videotaped for the last decade. You know, it's like
Right.
Christina Coca can make these amazing videos, and like Lala's got to realize that. Man, we have you on video saying 8 different opinions about the same thing. Why would we ever trust you? I overuse the concept of reliable narrator because I think it's an important function in any reality show. And production and Lala both think that she's the reliable narrator this season. But unfortunately, that's the wrong person to go to because she can't be that because we've caught her in too many things that are like all over the map. So why would we ever try? Why would we, like, even in this reunion, you'll find her jumping in, like trying to save Sandoval. Like, oh, what I think Sandoval means here. It's like, no. Let Sandoval tell us. You know, Ariana used to provide that function for Tom Sandoval. Because Tom Sandoval, we've seen, cannot talk his way out of anything. So Ariana would always be the Sandoval whisperer. Ariana can't do that anymore. So now that's gone to Lala for some reason. And it's like, no, let Schwartz try to help Sandoval. Let's have the comedy of that. But Lala now is trying to fill all of these positions. And it, to me, just does not work. And it comes off really, it makes it even a weirder viewing experience.
Yeah, it's very inauthentic. And she keeps breaking the fourth wall. And now Schwartz had said that he thinks that could be, I'm paraphrasing here, but detrimental for the show as a whole. But we saw in this reunion, her really breaking the fourth wall and just being like, this, you know how this works. This is a show. You've been doing this 11 years. Like, she keeps talking storyline, things like that, rather than relationships, friendships. What do you think of Lala breaking this fourth wall constantly? And do you think that that's something that we should just now do regularly? I think you kind of mentioned that.
Yeah, I think we do. I think we do have to like now break the fourth wall because we can't go back to this like state. Like I can't, no offense to water tastings and all that stuff, but like, let's talk about the reality of it. Let's talk about it. Because also, I mean, this is a big concept here. Maybe they want us to be angry. Maybe they want, because look at us. We're sitting here arguing this. We all have podcasts. We're all making memes. We're all getting this the highest ratings that it's ever gotten. Maybe there's something in that these people like to keep us upset. Like, there is something to that. And I think that's why Ariana is a very interesting person to watch during these things, because she's not even saying anything. Like, they're making her bigger than she ever was or wanted to be. And she's not having to say a damn thing. She's pointed out very quietly, I don't go on podcasts and talk about Tom Sandoval. I don't do anything. She doesn't have to, because we all do it for her. Like, all she has to do is sit there. But when she sits there, they keep making her bigger and bigger and building this legend. And then they get upset that she's getting bigger, even though they're the ones making her bigger. It's so wild when you really think about it, because Ariana is just sitting there taking opportunities, working her ass off, really enjoying the experience. And you can tell that the downside of it is that she's chained to these people. Like, they're all chained to each other. And you guys know, this isn't any sort of friend group. Don't fool yourself. This isn't a gang. We got the gang back together. What kind of gang? Like, you would not want to be involved with any of these people. They treat each other horribly. But that's the funny part about this show now. It's like all of these people chained to each other that should be as far away. Like, we shouldn't still be friends with barbacks and bartenders from our 20s. There's like, it's a nice period of your life, but you shouldn't then have to like raise kids with them for the rest of your life.
That's true. I've worked at a lot of restaurants, and we definitely didn't keep in touch from when we were, blacking out at 21 to now, homes.
I'm going to have Artis, my bar back from my 20s, babysit my kid. Are you kidding me? Like, it's ridiculous. And then the Valley, please, no offense to like Lala, like, please, I don't want Lala anywhere near the Valley. It doesn't need it. Like, there's an element of stagecraft with Lala where it's very like, it's very like, in these streets and all that. No, like, I just want real right now. And the Valley, it has Kristen and Jax, which are, they're used to the show, but you got all these other people trying to figure out their way around reality TV. And you have Janet that's known these people, but that's why I find it fascinating, because they're still talking like real people. I don't need a Lala in there to disrupt that and create this kind of more fake environment of trying to stir things up. Like, let things happen.
I agree with you 100%. And even Jax Taylor and
Sorry, wait, Connie. Sorry, Connie's like, my best friends for 30 years are from those. I'm sorry, Connie's an exception. Connie seems great. I'm sorry.
We
Connie.
know it can happen, but we just know that in LA it doesn't happen because you got a bunch of. This made me laugh so hard. This Jax Taylor.
This is
one
probably.
says,
This is probably. Is this Mediza? How did I finish? Yeah. The Valley's amazing because Jax has now gotten so comfortable talking like horribly to his wife in front of other people.
It's horrible.
Jax, how dare you?
Jax, bear chase. Like the fact that Jax, listen, do I think Brittany drinks too much? Yeah, but I also think Jax does. And I think he's doing some nose candy allegedly.
Yeah, so, Jax goes in and goes, yeah, I'm drinking 2 bottles of tequila. You don't see me acting like a damn fool. Well, yeah, I do. You're like fully yelling at your wife in front of 5 women. Like, that's pretty idiotic. But he's like, I drank 2 bottles of tequila. And I'm like, well, now I'm worried about you. You seem like you're able to mask your extreme alcoholism.
Yeah, just because you might be a little more functioning than your wife whose stomach is telling her, please stop. It doesn't make it any better. It's crazy, though, to watch the scene of him kind of slapping the phone away when she's watching their little cruise swimming.
Cry.
Yeah, I was like, oh, God, Jax is just the worst.
Well, and the fact that he's doing this around everybody and nobody's really saying anything to him, like, yo, dude, what the F are you doing? It's really interesting to watch. And then it's like to have all of these dudes sit around and cry with each other, talking about the plight of the man. You know, like, women are never going to appreciate us, man. They're never going to give us the credit. They're never going to give us due. It's so wildly, weirdly funny. But anyway, wait, can we talk about Joe really quick for a second? Because you were explaining the stuff with Joe, but what did you think of her reunion performance? Because also I watched, and no offense, because she did look pretty, but like then I kept looking at her outfit and I thought I was like tripping on acid or something because there's like so many different like weird patterns in there. I thought I was like, it's like Dead at the Sphere or something. It's like so many different weird.
Well, she gave herself, Ryan, did you see she gave herself best dressed? Because I don't know who said she was best dressed, but she kept in her live, she kept saying, well, I was best dressed at the reunion. I was like, was there a poll? Did Us Weekly do what? Where did I miss this best dressed? And if I did, forgive me, but who best dressed her? Because it was just a Ramona macrame with a cutout. Ramona at the Hamptons. I don't get it.
Joe really likes being a part of all of this. I don't think she'll be asked back because I truly think this would be dangerous for her mental health and it would be dangerous for the show to encourage to have her come. But I think secretly, even though she'll say she won't go back on, she would love to go back on because I think she truly, like I said, she truly loves to have people listen to her. I think she's one of those people that really, really likes, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but she really likes the attention in a small way. I feel that's how it reads to me, but it is wild.
She did say she would go back. At first, she said she wouldn't on Rachel Raquel's. And then she said she would on her own live stream. She said she would. First, she said, I would only go back for $1 million. And then on her live stream, she started saying, yeah, I would love to go back. And now, according to the Vanderpump Rules Party Pod, she was saying she doesn't talk to anyone from the cast. And some of those people, she said she'd rather eat a caterpillar than talk to them, which I don't even think.
When people say that stuff, I want that stuff. Like, no, I want to see her eat her caterpillar. Like, let's make her eat a caterpillar. Like, I would rather and also that sounds like she's actually perfect for the cast if she doesn't talk to any of them. None of these people are going to hang out over the summer besides Lala and Sheena. Like, they're going to take a long break from each other, which is great. But yeah, I think Joe's performance last night was, it was weird because even in the Vanderpod recaps where I was reading of the Vanderpump Rules party interview, I think she admitted that she even lied of like, because when she went out there, Andy asked, did Schwartz tell you what to say today or something to that nature? And she said no. But then on the podcast interview she did today, she said, oh, he did. I lied. So I'm like, you even lie at the reunion. Like, why would I even, I want to try to get away from liars on these shows as much as possible, unless they're going to get called out immediately on it.
Yes. Unless they're going to be the villain and it's the known villain, like a Jax or something. Because that's what, like Tom Sandoval, he needs to either lean into it or leave. I just think we don't need him anymore. But coming back to the lying, Schwartz, Sheena, Kristen, have been alluding to very cryptically, but they have all said that she is a liar, that Joe is a liar. And Schwartz said now on Kristen's podcast recently that he will never talk to Joe again, and that he wants nothing to do with her. And she he caught her in egregious lies. Do you have any insight
who
into
would have
what
thought-
these lies are?
Who would have thought that it would go this way? Who would have ever thought that it would end like this? Nobody could see this coming.
Maybe.
No, I don't, but I would speculate that it's probably her going way above and beyond describing how deep their relationship was. Like, it was deep, and he was like, but I have a feeling that Schwartz probably, you know, was definitely sleeping with her repeatedly, but also saying that you are not my girlfriend, you are not this, you are not that. And I have a feeling she kept going, no, we were boyfriend, girlfriend. I bet it was just things that started to make him uncomfortable, even though he brought this upon himself. I have a feeling that's probably like, it finally got to be enough is enough. And he couldn't do the aw shucks nice guy anything of like, oh, it's cool. Like, I have such good feelings for you. What a great time of our lives. Like, it was written in the stars, but only for a certain amount of time. Like, once she got people listening to her, she had more of a chance to like spill everything. And then I think she rewrote some things or how she viewed it instead of how it might have actually been. And I think it finally got to a point, and especially because he has an actual girlfriend now that he will, you know, he's proud to like talk about. It probably changed everything. But yeah, last night was very sad because I just want to say, like, I'm with Katie. Is that like, I think she has every right to have disliked Joe from the jump.
Yep.
I think she has every right to stay that way. I think Katie handled it correctly. The fact that Joe cried as quickly as she did, the fact that Joe still doesn't even it's kind of like Lala. I'm like, Joe, you really don't understand why Katie would be angry with you. You really, to this point, still don't. That's the point where I kind of lose a lot of like, I'm like, well, then I can't ride with you because you don't seem to understand a basic thing. And the thing is, we both know that she did go after Schwartz. She did know what she was doing. Like, and I'm not saying Schwartz didn't play bigger part in this, but she did. She was into Schwartz. She did. Like, you don't just automatically go like stay 4 days with a stranger because you're.
It's a rom-com, Ryan. Every rom-com.
She killed her
starts that
turtle.
way.
She killed her turtle as a kid. We're still not talking about the turtle she killed.
The dead turtle that she walked right into a sewer and became a ninja turtle.
It was a sewer. And she said she had it on a leash. If you had your turtle on a leash, wouldn't you just pull back up the leash? Did she drop the leash? I'm still on this turtle thing and how we just laughed it off. This poor turtle is in the sewers, probably like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, just like out. I hope they bring out the turtle for part 3 of the reunion. I hope the turtle comes out.
Joe is giving me. Do you watch the show on Hulu, Under the Bridge?
No.
You would like it, Ryan, because it's based on a true crime story from Canada in the 90s, and it's heavy with the 90s references, music, and stuff like that. And there's a girl on there, Kelly, who, if you ever watch it, I think she's kind of giving us a little bit of Kelly, a little bit of murderous, but like, I wouldn't murder anyone, but the turtle's dead, allegedly. Okay. So I don't know if we can believe you. Now with Joe, here's my thing with Joe. I think Joe is really close to Sandoval. Their behavior is very similar in that neither of them can really finish a sentence. We don't know what they're talking about. They can be very manipulative. There's some, if you're always the hero and always the victim in all your stories, I'm looking at you sus. I feel like there's not a lot of self-awareness with Joe. I don't understand why Katie would have to apologize to this woman. And why could no one at the reunion say, Katie was right? Because Katie was right about Joe. Joe has, she's made a bigger deal out of things that shouldn't be. It was like she was just waiting to be a victim. And now that I watch her Instagram lives and watch the way she moves, I'm like, oh, this is a pattern of behavior. Like Ariana says, this is who this person is. And it gets a little scary. I don't think Joe is as, just like, as she wants us to believe. And I was talking to you about this beforehand, and Ryan wasn't up to date with, and gladly so, I'm sure, with his travels on the recent Joe GoFundMe for her dog Checkers.
Yeah. I was getting messaged about it, and they said you knew all about it, or you offered to donate money directly to the vet.
Yes, the
Is
vet.
that what it was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
so she was pulling on our heartstrings, really, of like, this dog could go blind. And we're like, okay, do you have, I don't know if you have pets, Ryan, but normally when you go to the vet, they give you a rundown of like how much things will cost. So comes out of the blue after Schwartz comes out and is like, I'm never talking to this woman again. She's an egregious liar. Then all of a sudden, could be coincidental, now Checkers, the dog, might lose his other eye. Well, will he or won't he? And Art is she's having these lives asking us for money, but yet you work for Lisa Vanderpump. Go, she'll help you. That's what she does. She helps dogs. And Joe just got done saying she was very helpful to her at the reunion. So now go ask her.
Lisa will give Checkers to James Kennedy.
Yeah, which, you know what, would be a better home at this. No offense, all offense, Joe, but it's looking sus. So she's got us out here believing this dog could go blind. She's got a GoFundMe that's very vague. There's no descriptions. It's changed how much money she's trying to get multiple times. When she invited people to ask questions about Checkers on a live, once those questions started coming in, she immediately got defensive, and it was I'll have to send you this clip, Ryan. She walked out, if you haven't seen it, where her clothing stylist partner Sonia is. She walks out and she's like, because, and I knew she was going to do this. We called it the day before. I go, if anyone pushes back on this, she will become the victim. They're trolling me, but they were reasonable, logical questions. It's not like we're Karens knocking on her door going, how are you taking care of your dog? You literally came to us, said, my dog might lose his eye. And we're like, oh my God, how can we help you? Or she told us how we could help her. But then it started seeming really weird. And when people were just asking logical questions of where my money's going, what you are right now on a live trying to sell sweatshirts with your dog on it. And then someone asked, is the money from that sweatshirt going to Checkers, his vet bills? She freaked out. She goes, you guys, my clothing is separate from my dog. It's like, but you're selling your dog on your clothing. So it is actually not. You're profiting off of your dog, and you literally are emotionally manipulating us who love dogs. I mean, I like dogs more than people. So if you tell me a dog's about to be blind, I'm there. I'm driving to LA. Yeah. I'm gonna, so she continues to leave us kind of on read. I didn't want to get like too crazy about it, Ryan, but I was like, okay, maybe if we just nicely, hit up Vanderpump and say, hey, thank you for all your work you've done with dogs. Is there any way you could check on Checkers? Joe, he might be. And literally, I would love for Lisa Vanderpump, if something is wrong with Checkers, to like help or someone to help. But we haven't heard anything back, and so I don't know. And with Schwartz coming out saying she's this egregious liar, I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens, I think, when you get like a lot of attention all of a sudden. But like the GoFundMe should just be like, help Joe have a bitchin' summer. Like, I just
yes, exactly.
help Joe now. Like, I mean, like, listen, it's all right. Like, just like, you don't need to make excuses. Like everybody else is asking for money on this cast. Just go like sell your merch, sell this. But yeah, it's really unfortunate if she's using her dog in any sort of way that actually isn't on the up and up. And people are like, and also I think Joe kind of relies heavily on this, like, people who aren't nice. It's like people who are like people do actually have genuine concerns. And this is the forum that you're in, and the forum that you're in. And that's why I thought Schwartz was ultimately to blame for bringing somebody onto this show when he knows the toxicity of this show. But also Joe knows the toxicity of this show too, because remember, she was friends with Kristen Doty. She was friends with all of these people. And I think it's really interesting that she's still very friendly with Rachel. And I'm like, well, why would you ever go on this show after Rachel says what this show did to her? Why would you then go on this show if you believe Rachel? If you believe Rachel, and that's why I think Rachel at the end of the day, in certain ways, shot herself in the foot, because I'm all for her, what she did for her mental health. But I do find it unfortunate about the lawsuit, because I really do think there's a world in which she could have came back for season 12 or season 13 and really like, I mean, you're talking about having a show. You would have had a show if she was able to mentally deal with that. I just thought she was going to move further away from it and not actually have a recap podcast. Ended up doing that, like with Rachel, I thought that was wild, in which I would actually, this is my theory, is that you will see a Joe podcast within the next 3 months or a Joe and Rachel podcast. Like, I have a feeling that's going to be the next thing to come out.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I could definitely see, because Joe's got the cameo, she's got the hat, she's got the breakup clothes, and now she's got the GoFundMe for Checkers. So anywhere she can get money from us and siphon that, she's going to get it. Now, with the Rachel thing, it is interesting that they are such close friends, in that Joe is still praising Sandoval, but Sandoval filmed your good friend Rachel Raquel without her consent while she was doing the fingerlings on FaceTime. So how can you be a good friend if you are still things,
I'm so
what?
confused. And by the way, the only time Joe did shut up last night was when Ariana was like, yeah, she fully knew about the affair. Like, and Joe didn't
Right?
fight back about that at all when Ariana said that. And I was like, boom. And that's another way. I was like, I would love for a follow-up question about that. Of like, Andy, Joe, is that true? Is that true what Ariana's saying? Did you know? Like, I would love, like, why don't we get follow-up on that? You're on this stage. I want to hear you fumble over your version of the truth. Like, why aren't we talking about those things of like, Ariana says this thing of she knew. And if she knew, that kind of puts so many other things in question. I mean, we went from Schwartz saying like, I didn't know about the affair to Tom told me the day after it happened. Like you find out all of these things after the fact, and they were really kind of double dating, like
Yeah.
Schwartz and Joe and Rachel and Tom. It's so weird. And I just don't understand why we're not having those kind of conversations on this show. And we're wasting our time with like, when did Sheena find out about Broadway?
Yes.
Like, does it matter? Does it matter?
Or we're talking about Brock's kids. Like, I don't need to know that. Like, I don't need that's to me, that's almost too personal to where those kids can't speak. They're on a whole other continent. Just let it be. I would rather know about the Big Bear trip. And you make a great point because we just glossed over that. When he said Big Bear, I was like, yes, get into that trip and how that came about. But no, they just
I get confused and like I know I don't. Anyways, I just feel like this is a mystery that it's like Lost. This is like the most boring version of the show Lost. We're just never going to fully find out like every certain answer because nobody will ever admit to the truth in this group. And Lala seems to have some like I really thought the way this is the other thing I think is so fascinating was that Lala obviously did the press tour after the third part of the reunion. After they filmed it in real life, she went and immediately did she did the talk, she did Jeff Lewis, she did all of these people, came down on Ariana hard. And it was like, oh, what happened? Like, what happened? Lala's like, I told my truth. There were people on that stage. Oh, they think they're like, oh, they're all sorts of crazy. And I was like, what happened? Oh my God. Like, what did Ariana get revealed as like a serial killer? What happened? And then you get to the second part of the reunion and you realize, oh, Lala really just went on the defensive because she really thus far has had a piss poor performance. Like it must have really not gone the way that, unless the third part completely blows us all out all of the water. And Lala makes so much sense because Lala makes points here and there, obviously. But like, that's the thing is like, she must have really realized how bad it was for her. And then she went ahead and just started doing every press imaginable to slag off Ariana and the rest of the cast. She unfollowed Katie and Ariana.
Right?
Like they're weird. I mean, I don't like the way that Lala's moving in these streets. Like that's weird.
It is so weird. And she just did herself such a disservice because coming off of season 10, I mean, everyone wanted to cheer for Lala. I mean, we believed so much and we were like, yes, stick up for your girls, even though we could tell there was some projection with the Randall thing, but we're like, you're still processing your stuff, girl, go ahead. And then she did the sweatshirts and then she was able to put her down payment. And now you make a good point. There are points in the reunion where she is making sense. So that almost makes it worse because we know that it's performative and we know that what she's doing is just because she thought, oh, hell, I can see her. And again, this is just my speculation. I can see her talking to Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog and Alex Baskin Robbins and be like, oh, bitch, I got this. You want me to put some salt in Ariana's game? I gets to clap. And like, she thought she had the power to switch the narrative, but her character has never been that powerful on the show. And she will never, she believed her own hype. She definitely was sniffing her own toots and she was liking it too much.
Her own toots.
And it just becomes, now we look at her like, oh, you're just fake. You went against your own brand, girl. Like, you failed.
Well, but that's it. She makes it wildly obvious we're watching a reality show. Like she makes it wild, like, cause even when they try to be real, she like brings it back to something that you're like, oh, I have to remember a lot of this is, there's elements of fakery. There's elements of these conversations that we're not privy to. Like she reminds us, and sometimes you want to get like lost in something. You want to get like, these are our stories. These are our soaps. We want to get lost in something. And Lala will remind us like very clunkily of like how this is all pieced together and like what you don't understand and what you didn't see. And I had a DM conversation. It's like, come out with it then. Like you're then being so disingenuous when you're then like presenting scenes of a water tasting. And I'm like, I'm not making fun of sobriety because I think that's one of the wonderful things about La La. But I'm like, that is something that this show was like built on, these kind of ridiculous, and you see it on all reality shows. Like, how many murder mystery parties do we need? How many rage rooms do we need to see? How many like, oh, this is a new place where you can get your cuticles burned off? Like, we don't need
Vagical
to see all these,
vagical rejuvenation.
Yeah, no, it's magical.
It's magical.
Yeah,
magical.
But it's like, man, sometimes I'm good if they all just sit on the couch and have a conversation. Like, that's the interesting part to me is who they are as people. Like, I don't need all of the other, like, hoopla surrounding it. I don't know where we go. And I think it's very interesting because it's such a mellow podcast, a mellow reunion compared to last year, where it was so charged up every episode and the fan base was so charged up. And it's so much more subdued. But even in it being subdued, I just still wish we got more information. And with all of the podcasts and all of the speculation, you would think that we would have had all the information by now, but we don't.
It's crazy. Now, what do you think for the future of Vanderpump Rules? Because we know they're on a break, and the Valley's got great ratings, and they're filming when Vanderpump Rules would normally film. So do you think they're kind of just going to fill it in with the Valley? Is it coming back? How does it come back, Ryan? What does that look like to you?
I mean, it's really easy. I mean, people are like, oh, it's done, it's over, it should be done. And what I keep trying to tell my audience is that, like, I agree with a lot of that, but remember, and this is a big secret, everybody lean in. These corporations, they're just here to make money. They're just here to make money. They don't care. They're not looking to do the best season finale ever. They're not looking to do the best series finale. They're looking to sell soap. And they've got one of the highest advertising rates on Bravo right now. They have been able to sell through advertising rates. And so when you have a little piece of gold like that, you don't immediately go, okay, well, we're done. That's it. No, you're going to run that thing into the ground. That's just how you do it. Now, Vanderpump Rules might not look like the same Vanderpump Rules we see now. They're probably going to have to make some hard choices, but it's really smart that they're going to give these people time off to actually go live their life. It will be weird to see how they bring it all back together. I would almost really love to greenlight a making of Vanderpump Rules season 12. Like, I would love to see the conversations from top to bottom of like, where do we go from here? Of like, film those pre-interview calls with Jeremiah as a bullfrog. Like, film those things of like, I want to see them talking. Because
now that
those are the conversations
broken the
that
fourth wall.
Yes.
Yeah, so much. Now let's see it. I love that. Can you pitch that to them, Ryan?
I will. Yeah. I mean,
We need it.
I talked to Jeremiah in December after, like, at some event, and I think it was before I don't know, like, the BravoCon had already happened, but he was just like, when we're talking, he's like, yeah, it's not going to be what season 10 was because that was like a fluke, that was, he's like, yeah, I think that it has but it was very interesting. And you also realize this is their job, they're not, and I'm not using the Lala word rabid in a bad way, but they're like us, like, we're rabid. We get excited. We think about the possibilities, and they do think about the possibilities too. But at the end of the day, this is their paycheck. And sometimes I think you get the feeling of like, oh, just trying to do this job and get through the season. You sometimes get that vibe. Like, we all have jobs that we potentially don't like, or they were like, sometimes you're just like, I got to get through this. And sometimes you get the feeling with that. They're not like they're not trying to like, we got to get to the truth. Like, we're, I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, they're just trying to create a season.
But I would
love
want producers that kind of give a shit about the show. Not saying Jeremiah doesn't, but this season seems a little off. Now, I did hear rumors, and I know it's just rumors, that possibly he was offered some kind of like bonus if he was able to get, was it that if he was able to get the Sandoval arc or get the redemption? I mean, I don't know. These are just
that would be
rumors.
hysterical. I always
like
think
the
that's so
Bachelor
funny. Like,
kind of thing.
Well, I do believe, and that's what, like, Sheena even talked about in Shenanigans of, it did seem like they made it seem like to the cast that if Ariana and Tom didn't talk, that they wouldn't have a show. And I'm like, that's wild if that really happened, because that's so silly on so many levels. I mean, like, how many scenes has Tom Sandoval walked out of through the years? He didn't stay there and talk to Miami Girl. He didn't stay there. Like, I find it so ridiculous. This show is built on people walking off. And I didn't feel like Ariana walking off, like, kind of screwed the show in any way. In fact, I thought it was fascinating, her walking off. What I thought was even more fascinating was that it really exploded, and you saw how all these people felt. Lala all of a sudden just exploding, Sheena agreeing with Lala, Sandoval on the hot mic going, good for me. That, to me, was top-notch, top-tier reality television, because you know, us as an audience, we can sense when something's real. You know, you get like goosebumps in your hair. You're like, oh, damn, I'm not even supposed to be watching this.
Yes.
It immediately becomes real. And that's the exciting thing. And I think that's really hard to come across for people just really dropping their masks and being real. Because when they are real, it's really upsetting because you see how much they dislike Ariana at this point.
Yeah, it's so raw. And I think that that was true. Like when people are like, she needs to talk to Tom Sandoval. She already did. She gave us one of the most raw moments we've ever seen on television right after Scandival broke, as she sat there across from this man, just disgusting, like, for you to die. And then, I don't give a fuck about fucking Raquel. Your relationship is bullshit. And he's like, no, it's not. I mean, that was like, I still watch that sometimes. I don't know if I'm like, something's wrong with me, but I'm just like, oh my God. It was like, So what more do you want from this woman? Like, she literally, right as she's bleeding out, she showed us this. She gave something to us in that moment, like vulnerability, that you want to keep doing that to her every season. Like, she's not going to forgive him right now.
To me, it's very real. To me, it's very, very like that. Those reactions were very real. And it's not like she refused to be in the same room as Sandoval. We have many episodes this season where she was in the same location. She was there. She didn't go on the Tahoe trip, but thank God she didn't, because then that was able to move certain storylines along, like Sheena and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, she was there for, you know, she might not have had direct conversations, but she was there. So it's weird when Ariana will get this kind of brush off of like, she's ruining the show. She's not doing the best for our livelihood. Well, she's doing the best that she can, and she's doing way more than I thought she would actually do. And why can't we celebrate a woman or any person actually standing by the courage of their convictions and saying, I'm not going to do this? She told them, and she said it at the reunion, and she stuck to it. Why are we? I also don't get the editor troll where, you know, they keep going back to the Schwartz scene when she's like, I will not have friends with him, so we are no longer friends. Like, it's different with Schwartz and other people because Schwartz was actively part of Sandoval's lie. So I'm like, why? Yes, Ariana shouldn't be friends with Tom Schwartz. In fact, but at the same time, she's now friendly with Tom Schwartz. That's called growth. You know, like we have to be able to be in a position where Ariana or any of us, if you've been hurt, you can heal. You can change how you view people through the course of time. And by the end of the season, what, it had been 5.5 months? It started off at 3 months. By the end of the season, 5.5 months. That's still a very short amount of time. It would hurt any of us, but then the amount of discourse around it, like the amount of people talking about it, that's got to add like twice the amount of time to heal when so many people are speculating. And also not just for Ariana, but against Ariana. Imagine being cheated about in that way, and then people like shitting on you and going, it wasn't a real relationship. You guys were always weird. You guys were always weird. I'm like,
you deserve it. You deserve it. I mean, she even had to have Kristen come out, and Kristen's like, no, she didn't deserve it. People like, yeah, she did. She deserves it.
Yeah.
You should do it again.
Shut up, Kristen. You don't know.
It was all Tom Sandoval's mom. No.
That's what poor Tom Sandoval's mom. $250,000 for a free ticket to the El Rey. Like, that's amazing. And
he says she still hasn't gotten her money back, Ryan, and that she's come to terms with it.
Yeah, he's come to. He goes, she's accepted, and I like on the first part of the reunion. He's like, my dad's 60 years old and he has roommates. I'm like, yeah, man, like that's not.
This makes so much sense. Oh my god, he was saying it like it was totally normal.
Do you ever think that like everybody's like, oh, what's the show going to look like? Is Ariana going to come back? Like, I would think Ariana would come back because it's like kind of not free money because you have to put yourself at risk in some ways, but it's like good money for like, but at the same time, there is part of me that wishes she wouldn't, because I think she just, not that she's outgrown it, but I just think she's a different kind of mess. Like she's a thought out, like she thinks things, she feels things like a normal person. And sometimes I don't know if normal people are made for Vanderpump Rules, people that are trying to be mentally healthy. I think it's people that are like making wildly bad decisions. And so part of me, it's like, Ariana, go on with your bad self and like, go, like, I almost hope this gets her even more jobs and more exposure, because I truly think it's like escape from Vanderpump Rules. Like one of you guys can escape. Go fly free But at the same time, it's free money. So why would you turn that down? And also
That's
I
what
want to say,
always think, yeah.
well,
Oh, sorry, go
it's
ahead.
not going to, also I want to point out, Ariana's not perfect. Like if she comes back for another season or 2 seasons, there is this chance, and I hope she has it, to become a bad person, to say something crazy, to get into her own trouble. Like we all have horrible seasons in our own lives. Ariana's like, I mean, like, and I think she would be the first to tell you, it's not like she makes every right decision ever. Like, like we're putting her on a pedestal. She isn't. So you also have to give her that room to F up. And I think that would be interesting to watch as well. What these shows are made on, like one season you're a hero and one season you're a villain. It's like pro wrestling.
Look at Katie. Katie's a prime example of that. I think Katie for years, and she just, the difference between Katie and the Toms is Katie took it. Katie womaned up. She overied up, and when the fans were like calling her names, bullies, she didn't play the victim role. She just kept being Katie. The Toms couldn't take an episode of them being called out on their bad behavior. Like, you're going to save me. Oh, it's a fear. And it's just like you said, we understand you're human, but so you can make mistakes in that, but it just, when it doesn't fit the character you are, I think of it the way I think about like even my scripted shows, I always make this example, but my favorite show of all time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And the thing that was so great about that show is that people, they were so well written and they stayed true for the most part to who those characters were, that people would watch those characters go grocery shopping because Willow's gonna Willow, Buffy's gonna Buffy, Xander's gonna Xander. And you hope that would be the case in all of your shows. However, what like Lala and them are showing us is that, oh no, if you buy 2 homes you might not be able to afford, allegedly, you'll just go any which way. And so all of a sudden we can't trust who you are, and we don't want to follow that character anymore. Does that make sense? Like, it's just,
yes, totally. I mean, that's I will say, like, even with Tom Sandoval, when I used to be like a big pro Sandoval guy before all of this, because I thought, here's a dude that is like, he gets made fun of all the time, but he's sitting there, he wants to do a cover band, he's doing it with all his heart, he dresses like David Lee, he dresses like a weirdo, but he does it with all his heart. And for me, I was like, wow, that's really something to look up to, because I don't do a normal job now. I'm not a normal guy. I feel like I'm very weird, and like, so I always looked up to that, but I looked up to that also thinking that he was like this really, and not that like you have to be a moralistic person, but I was like, wow, he's out there. He's not Jax. He could be like screwing around a lot of times, but he's not. He's just really, and I thought, wow, that's so cool. That's such a person to look up to. And I was so wrong. And I think that's where a lot of my anger initially came from. Well, listen, I always show this to people, like, this is the Richella wristband that he gave me from Richella. This is there's 20 of these in existence. I always bring this out for like when I do cameos. And, I remember being over at his house when we did like a 3-hour podcast, and he took me around, and I was like a kid in a candy store. And, there is that part of Tom that he wants everybody to have a good time. Like that's real. Like, everybody says that, and who knows, maybe that is part of a narcissistic thing too, of like, I've got to be in control. But at the time you're just like, man, this guy's showing me like the best time, and he knows I'm geeking out. And it was like such this lovely experience. And it is interesting though, because that all kind of got like ruined when I found this out. Like I was friendly with Ariana, and I just thought, wow, this is so wildly shitty. And I just didn't even believe it. And that's why I thought this did go above and beyond than just normal cheating of Vanderpump Rules, because it really, I think, shocked everybody. We still don't believe it. And that's why, what do you think about DJ James Kennedy? Because at the very end of part 2 in the reunion, Sandoval was like, well, I heard things about you, dude, and it adds up. And he's like, oh, shut up, Sandoval. Oh, shut up. I'm galloping so far above you in a horse and a carriage. I'm so far ahead of you. And it's wild because we've all heard these rumors about DJ James Kennedy as well. And at the same time, the show seems to kind of like, even Andy's joking, like, you're the number one guy in the group. And I get curious where we're going to go with the DJ James Kennedy character, because we really, truly do see him living out his dreams. We see him allegedly trying to be this better person and partner to Allie. But they're all, your past eventually will come back to haunt you in some way. And I'm curious. I'm also curious why Sandoval kept quiet, like why he didn't blur. Those are the things that I get curious about, of like, Sandoval, you know exactly what you're referring to. And DJ James Kennedy knows exactly as well. So why are we all pussyfooting around things? That's where you get paranoid. Like, were these people given an edict by production of like, we cannot go to this certain conversation? Because I imagine Sandoval, he's heard all the same rumors, but I also imagine he's heard them from Rachel. after they did the hippity dippity. They would probably hold each other watching a galaxy light and her talking about her previous relationship.
Yes, and I hate when they do this kind of cryptic thing. It's like, don't even bring it up. And if we're gonna, eventually the conversation about James Kennedy, I think it will be had. If this show continues, we will definitely have to talk about allegations that are out there about James Kennedy. Scandival kind of, over, it was so big that no one was talking about that. Obviously people have, and we've heard Rachel and we've heard Kristen Doty and we've heard things, but it is interesting that we're not having that conversation, not to make the show even darker and less fun, but that's why I'm hesitant to jump to James as like the number one guy and the savior and the hero at this point. I only believe in the women now because the men have disappointed me too much like life, Ryan. No offense, all offense.
Well, he's great. No, DJ James Kennedy is great. Like, he's great filler. He's great, like, throw for a comedic take, throw for like, and the way he speaks and his, like, the rhythm in which he speaks, those are really funny moments. But I agree, like, we shouldn't be looking to any of these people. And it is funny when one man falls, we then have to immediately look for another man to look up to. Why aren't we looking up to the women? And that's why it's so unfortunate when you fight, because we could be looking up to all the women on this show. We could be looking up to Sheena, Lala, Ariana, Katie. They all have these great attributes if they just come together. And I don't know why the crux of the dramatic experience has to be between the ladies and not the men. I'll just never understand that. I don't just know if they didn't think the men could handle it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that, I think what I always talk about on this channel is a lot of this is just a direct reflection of life for a lot of women. And that's why it's very triggering, is us seeing the men kind of, get off and get saved and villainizing the women when we were handed a platter of like, the men have fucked up. Take the men to task. The women are still encouraged to go after one another, whether it be by production or, whatever's happening here. If they just would have let it play out, like it would play out in the world, if they would just, but we don't live in a society where we're conditioned to kind of support each other the way that men are conditioned to support each other or play on teams as men are. I think things are changing and stuff, but I think that there's still that thing. And so when people are like, why are people so triggered by this? It's like, because all the worst parts of the patriarchy we're seeing play out in our favorite show, and they're doubling down on it. And I do think we need more women's voices, but definitely behind the camera and within production, because I find it hard to believe that if it was ran by women, we would be seeing any of this bullshit.
Well, I will even watch the men of Vanderpump Rules this season, and I will identify horrible characteristics of myself or in my past, where I'll be like, oh my God, I've done that. Oh my God, I've done that. And like, you'll be like, oh shit. And you'll kind of relate to it in certain ways of like, oh, well, this is why I did it. I wonder why Schwartz did it. I wonder why, it's very interesting to watch that, but I wish we would have more of those conversations. I wish we would have more of that. Like, well, this is why I did it. Sometimes, because with Sandoval, at the end of the day, I really truly believe it breaks down to, I wanted to see other boobs and vagina. Like, like at the end of the day, I don't believe it was love. I think it was like, well, it turns out I actually am excited about body parts, and like it's not too deep. Like, he wants to like make it into Romeo and Juliet, and it's just not that.
Wait, Ryan, are you saying like this?
Guess what? I was very impressionable when she took all her clothes off and jumped in my pool.
That poor man, that poor impressionable man.
On my podcast, I was like, you could just hear the property value in Valley Village go down after that. They're like, oh God, oh my God, there's a toxic leak in the. Oh, dude, she's trying to seduce me. She acts like it's like Mrs. Robinson, like The Graduate. Like, are you trying to seduce me, Rachel? Like, it's so ridiculous.
Well, and nobody is like checking his ass on that, because that's another thing that women have to deal with. It's like, it's slutty Rachel. She shouldn't have had her tits out. How could this man control his own dick when her tits are out? So clearly it's her fault. And these are conversations, I think, like you said, would be great to be had on camera, because like you said, that you have to check yourself. I too have to check my internalized misogyny when I watch this, and like criticisms I might have had for Katie or other women on the show through the years, and go, oh shit, Jolene, like, it's a great kind of, if you're willing to, be open to it, it's a great learning experience for yourself, because we all are kind of flawed in that way where we got to check ourselves.
If somebody wanted me to do, I can't believe Tom Sandoval was in the jacuzzi. I can't believe that. Well, I mean, why was Ken Todd completely erased from this season? Like, what the hell? Where? Because I feel like Nick Lane, like, I feel like something's going on with Lisa and Nick Lane. That's, if you want to give Lisa a storyline, I bet like Nick Lane, Lisa Vanderpump is going over to Schwartz's house to fiddle with herself on FaceTime with Nick Lane. Like Schwartz is like, Lisa, what are you doing here? I can't believe Lisa went over to Schwartz's. I can't believe that.
It is better than the real Ken. I think your Ken is like so top tier. I mean, that is.
I miss him so much.
I can't believe that Schwartz was it. Yeah, there you go.
I can't believe Schwartz is messing around with that kook Joe. I can't believe that.
In the hot tub with Joe or with the
Nigga Lane.
Oh my god.
Also, I want to say, I know we're like probably going long here, but I say Rachel. I do also want to say I don't think Rachel's completely innocent in all of this. I do want to say like she obviously. They both thought they were weirdly in love with each other. And that's, yes. I also want to point, Ariana is another correct at this, is that like, they really were hanging out all the time, but like Rachel at the end of the day will eventually have to admit she really did dislike Ariana. She was just hanging out with her so much because she wanted to keep her eye on her man. Like Rachel had a full relationship with Tom. So she's like, gross. I got to be around Ariana so I can make sure I am in control of this situation. I truly believe that. And here's Ariana thinking like, oh, I'm supporting this friend and I'm helping her find her strength. And Rachel's just there trying to keep an eye on her dude,
I know. You guys, 854 of you in the live chat. Make sure you
We're not even, did we smash the like? Did we get to the likes that you needed to?
I don't know if we hit the 1,000, but I think we're going to get there, Ryan.
Guys, if you don't, I'm going to hurt myself if you don't. Like, I'm going to literally, I will burn myself if
Ryan
you don't.
will hurt himself. Everyone must touch the like.
I can't believe Ryan hurt himself on Joleen's love. I can't believe it's so sad. I can't believe that.
Can you do Irish broke? Do you do an Irish broke?
No, Brock. Oh yeah, the Brock. I can't do Brock's accent, so I do him as a leprechaun. I'm like, hey, I've learned a lot. Actions have consequences. You can see my full bush on my budgie smugglers. I'm learning. Yeah.
Oh my god. See, I like Brock's because it's like I always have to start with near. So it's like near. I didn't read the New York Times because it's very expensive. Okay, it's like $4. And Sheena was like, near, Brock, you're not reading. You can't read. Okay, you're not gonna waste our money because Tom Sandoval's PayPal hasn't come through yet. So near, we haven't done it.
Well, and then the other guy was the TMZ guy. This is the one thing that we didn't have this season that we had last season when the scandal exploded was we would have the one specific TMZ guy that would find, he was the one that found Rachel at the nail shop. He would track down Schwartz and he would be like, hey, okay. What's the deal? Why does everybody hate you? Okay. And he goes, then he'd be like, I don't watch the show. Okay. So, I think you sound like a cool person. Okay. And then he would like find and then remember when Tom made him a friendship bracelet from Tom was like,
yes, I was going to say that.
I made you a friendship bracelet, dude, from Kyle Chan. He's like, oh, okay. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, dude. Oh, okay.
Dude, I've never heard of friendship before.
Why did
they put that guy? It wasn't just like a random guy like selling shit to TMZ, or did he really work for TMZ?
I don't know, but now he works for Kanye. He works for Kanye now.
What?
He like got hired by Kanye, and I was like, what a 1-2 punch. But he was my favorite because then they like threw it at a couple other people. There was like a girl, and then there was another guy, but he was my favorite because he was the best. He was like the Howie Mandel of TMZ. He's like, I don't watch the show. I don't even know what's going on, but okay. You seem like a cool guy. Okay. Well, and then Tom would be like, I'm done talking, dude. I'm done. Like he would show up after that like band practice. It's so fucking funny. Like everybody asked like why we got so insane is because there were so many insane things happening. It wasn't just the show. It was like TMZ was involved and all of these. Like it was so funny. Yeah. It
really was. And that TMZ guy, I mean, that's you got him down.
Yeah,
perfectly.
Josh.
And that's
His name was Josh. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how Joshua, because even when Santa was like, I don't want to talk, I don't know, and then he would come back and be like, okay, Tom, it's totally cool, but like, do you think Rachel's going to get out of the crazy hospital or not? And you're like, what?
Oh no, dude. She won't call me on my birthday, dude. It's like she's locked away in a mental facility or something. I think she is, dude. It's so crazy.
It is crazy, but I agree with you with I think Vanderpump will 100% come back because like you say money. My grandpa always said, follow the money.
I forgot the actual question. Oh yeah, that was like 20 minutes. Yeah, Vanderpump will come back, right? It just will come back later. Yeah, they're not. I trust me, they're not going to like turn away money. Like, no, I'm not even talking about the cast. I'm talking about Bravo and the network. Like, this is a crown jewel. This is helping people go to Peacock, their streaming service. Like, they're going to invest in the show. They're going to find a way to make this work. Whether it be something that we like that's in the eye of the beholder. But I truly don't sometimes know if the show or Lisa or any of these people understand why we love the show. I don't even think Lala understands why we love the show.
She doesn't.
Lala thinks this is like Real Housewives of Beverly Hills when it's not. It's Vanderpump Rules. And it's like a different vibe.
It's a totally different vibe. Now, okay, speaking of Lala, I have to get your thoughts on this. So Lala, a couple, and I know I'm pushing you on time because we're almost up at an hour and a half. So if you got to dip out,
yeah, I'm good.
Let me know, Ryan, but you're so fun. So if you got a couple minutes,
yeah, no, good.
Lala has mentioned on her podcast, because, she's in such her soft era that she was going to call out a podcaster. Okay. And some people were like, maybe it'll be you, maybe it'll be Christina Coca, maybe it'll be Ryan. I go, I don't think it's going to be like us. It'll be someone else. And people were saying Heather McDonald. And now I'm seeing
Heather? No. Are you kidding me?
Cracks in the foundation.
No, really?
Because Heather is and people are helping me out with this, but on her most recent, I guess, recap breakdown, she was, very much Team Ariana. She recently posted something kind of cryptic to her stories about, I read it yesterday. Let me pull it up here. And I don't know if it has to do with Lala, but it's like Lala was talking about, but when I come for you, I'm not going to be able to stop it. I'm going to come for everything. And
in these podcasting streets, the podcasting streets have been talking, and I'm about fed up. Yeah.
What?
I will say, I don't consider myself, I have a fairly deep hatred of myself. So I don't consider myself conceited in some way, but I will say I got sent that last week when I was overseas. And there was a part of me, I was like, jet lagged, and I was like, oh wait, is this me? Like, I remember, like, I was like, oh no, is Lala gonna come out against me? But I don't think so, because I always try to like say what I like about Lala, but I don't think it would be me. And it would be such a mistake if it was somebody like me, you, or Christina, because it would give us attention more than she would want us to get. Like, I could see it being Heather and I could see it being Heather, and I could almost see that being maybe not staged, but I could almost, because that kind of stuff really helps. Like, that kind of stuff really helps and like gets that clicks going. I don't know if it would be any of us. Maybe it would be, but I just don't think, because it would actually give us more of a platform in some ways.
I doubt, like, your podcast is huge. I doubt my little channel she even is aware of, first of all. But I think her going after anyone like you, even though you do have a big audience, she would look really bad. I think because you're not saying anything.
You wouldn't be listening to you wouldn't be listening to the whole show. Like, you would, because I've always said like, oh, this is what I like about Lala. But yeah, man, and like I can kind of back up everything. I'm not just like going on a vibe. I'm going by specific thing that she's saying. So I think that would be a mistake. But who knows? Like, by the way, I don't ever want to get into fights with anybody. That stuff makes my stomach sink and like all of that. But like, if you want to do that, do that. I mean, could it also be Nick Viall? Could it be?
Well, that's what people thought it was Nick Viall, but Heather posted this on her story, and it was around this time that this like podcaster call out was happening, within the same week or whatever. The people who betrayed you are going to have to watch God promote you. And then we're seeing her very pro Ariana, and we do know when she was on Lala's podcast, she did have to kind of check Lala a few times of like, well, Ariana probably feels this way because of this, when Lala was really trying to paint Ariana as a villain. So, but I get what you're saying, where I think they could manufacture this, because I think Heather McDonald, she's very smart. And when it comes to her marketing and stuff, she knows. And she's had little beefs before that have gotten a lot of attention, and it's probably been fantastic.
She's smart.
For her
She's
brand.
really smart. I mean, I don't think I could ever do that. Like, I don't think I've talked about that before, of like getting into fights with other podcasters and stuff. It's good for you. It's good sometimes because it drives clicks and gets downloads, but I don't think overall I couldn't do it. But Heather seems to do that. She's good at that, So
No,
I'd
it's
be
not
very curious.
fun. I like the roasting and the whatever, but
Yeah, like I want to at the end of the day
someone,
laugh.
no,
Yeah, my heart wouldn't be in that.
Too gross. Yeah, like Love Pink is saying, a lot of people have noticed that Heather kind of going against Lala in some podcasts. And if it's not manufactured, and if it's maybe Lala would feel some type of way, like Heather should have her back, because I know Lala really enjoyed having Heather McDonald as a friend and saying Heather McDonald was her friend, and she loves.
And Heather enjoyed going to every
comedy.
event with Lala.
Yes,
Heather was on one of the
exactly.
episodes this season, so I think it's mutually beneficial for both of them. It would also be very exciting if they had a fight, but I almost think there would be part of me, I don't know if I would believe that fully, because they are so tight. I don't know. I'm curious. When did she say she was coming out with this revelation?
Well, see, she didn't. It was just kind of like she had to stop herself. She made a Dixie Chicks reference to "I'm not ready to make nice" and how the Dixie Chicks dealt with George Bush. And I was like, girl, please.
Lala saying she's like the Dixie Chicks.
Yes.
Lala's Nelson Mandela. All of a sudden, like, are you guys?
I mean, it tracks. She does think that highly of herself. But yeah,
didn't they move like close to each other in Palm Springs too? Like, didn't they get places like right next to each other when Lala got her place because of the Send It to
Heather
Daryl
and them?
merch? Yeah, didn't they buy places like
Heather-
Sheena, Heather? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what city they're in. Heather might be in La Quinta or something, like where Kyle Richards. That I'm not sure. But yeah, they all have places over there, and I know Heather likes to go to. There's like a cougar bar that's like, because I live out here. There's a cougar bar near there that they go to. I forget the name of it.
I think I've been there once, actually.
On Highway 111.
I had one of the worst espresso martinis there.
Really?
If my memory serves me, this is a couple of years ago, but I remember the person that I was with saying that Heather McDonald goes there a lot. This was like years ago, but
yeah, and she'll go there with like Jax, because it's basically it's in technically Indian Wells, Palm Desert area, and it's the only like kind of club bar with like music in that area, because otherwise it's pretty sleepy. So I forget what it's called. What the hell is it called? But yeah, it's a total cougar bar.
Wait, Emma has a interesting comment here. Ryan, you're only seeing cozy with Schwartz because you don't have to conceive of being in a vulnerable position with him. Yeah, I mean, that's totally that could be that. Sorry, I'm just reading one of the comments in the chat.
I'm just trying to find Emma's. Well, I think too, like that just shows the difference between how women are looking at Schwartz compared to how men. And to us, Schwartz comes off as dangerous, if not more dangerous than Sandoval, because he kind of hides behind,
But I think that's I think that's a certain type of person, but then I have so many women in the DMs or commenting the show of still saying, oh, I'd still sleep with Schwartz. I would still, even like knowing all of this stuff. So that's why I find it very interesting, is that girls are still like any of these guys, but Schwartz in particular, they're all like, oh, I know he's this, but like, I still love him. I would still hook up with him. Because I did a poll on there of like, would you still hook up with Sandoval? Would you still hook up with Schwartz? Would you still hook up with DJ? I thought Ken Todd would take it, but Schwartz actually did the best.
No way.
Schwartz did the best.
I think since we've talked so much about Sandoval and we haven't really got into the covert kind of, because people think that Schwartz is a covert narcissist, like he's presenting that way. And so we don't really have that discussion. I think that people still might be a little fooled by him. And that's kind of his MO, is to be like, oh, golly shucks, just watching how he dealt with Joe and how everyone was calling him out. And even Katie, I mean, if anything, Joe should never talk shit about Katie, because Katie was like, dude, you're acting like a fuckboy. Like Ariana even had Joe's back and was like, listen, because women recognize this shit. It's like you're telling her behind the scenes and you're doing all the things that would be in a relationship. And then when she expects you to act like you're in a relationship and, out in public, own up to that, and you don't, of course she's going to feel some type of way. So even though we don't like the way Joe moved, I think so many women have still found empathy for Joe, even though she had none for Katie, and she's kind of like a pick-me girl. But it's because we've seen this type of man before, and they're rarely called out. Because what I always say is I trust the blatant assholes more than I do the guys. Whenever a guy tells me I'm a feminist, I'm a nice guy, I go, oh no, you're gonna kill me. You are gonna murder me like that, because those kind of men kind of scare me more than just the outward creeps. I feel like that's the vibes that Schwartz is giving us.
Well, the Schwartz thing, like, I mean, there's stuff that I'm learning that you guys already all know, but like, I watched some video talking about like prefrontal cortexes with young girls, because he's dating a 24-year-old right now, right?
23, I think.
23-year-old. And I mean, that's wildly young.
Maybe,
but you know, like their prefrontal cortex isn't even fully developed yet. And talking about that cycle of like, yeah, it might be all great now, but then Schwartz is potentially going to then you know, not ruin this person, but like throw in like how they will view other male relationships for the rest of their lives, because, you know, this probably won't work out, but then she will take this relationship and whatever behavior he exhibits in it. So it's really interesting to kind of read these different perspectives and then think like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that, or I didn't think about this. And it is interesting. It's like, yeah, of course, Schwartz is going to go with this young girl that doesn't have these bad experiences. Like you see Katie, she looks like she's been through a war sometimes because dealing with Schwartz for like a decade.
Yes.
You know, like she's like, and
on
she's,
the after
you know,
show, she had to raise him, and
yeah, like I've raised this man for 10 years, and you really see that she carries that with her. And we all say like, oh, she's always such a humbug and she always such a grimace. And it's like, yeah, man, like she didn't have it easy. And I'm not saying Katie doesn't have her faults, but yeah, she had to put up with a lot. And it's always like the package that you present too. It's like Schwartz always presented a better package. He was always funnier. He was always like outwardly like cuddlier and cuter than Katie. And now after all these years, we realize, oh, Katie actually was saying a lot of truth. It's the same thing with Lala. Lala has like such an interesting package. She's like a very pretty person. She speaks so loudly, so clearly that you almost convince yourself that she knows what she's talking about. It's like, it's how you present and how you talk. And sometimes it's really unfortunate the people that don't have the strongest voices, or they might look sometimes a little off, we don't listen to them because they don't have this perfect package.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Am I just just talking out of my ass?
I think it makes sense. And I think when you talk about the packages and the way they present, and that's with Schwartz. Schwartz might play the aw shucks, but he's actually very well read. He's very educated. He's very well spoken, which is night and day to Sandoval, who's not well read, just thinks about his balls, and, you know, just like, I was supposed to do.
And never had to shave my balls, dude. That's one. And never had, you know, the other stuff, never had to shave my balls, dude. I just want to make that clear right now, dude, because there's a lot of rumors about Ann. Wait, can I ask you this? Like, I will say the one thing I do feel the Ann of it all. I champion Ann, and I'm like, yeah, girl, get your bag too. And of course you would want to work with Ariana over Tom. It is the one thing where I do find it a little like, I'm like, oh damn, she worked 3 years for Tom. And then immediately, that's the one point. I don't feel bad for Tom, but I feel like that's the only part that I sometimes feel like, oh man, like didn't she have to sign any kind of NDA to work with Tom?
He's
like
so stupid. He did not ever sign.
That's
anything.
the one point where I'm like, damn. And she's like Duracell commercials, and like it's really, really interesting. That's the one part where I'm like, oh damn, you know, it's like, yeah, you brought it upon yourself, but it's interesting, you know.
I love it. Anytime that I see a woman get one up on Sandoval now, after we've seen him behave so disgustingly, I'm like, yes, Anne, get it. And, you know, props to Anne for being able to do it for 3 years. We know how hard it is out in LA, and you got to take what you can get, and, you know, hope for the best. But I love that Anne, you know, Andy said was the breakout star of the season. And then Sheena goes, I thought you were going to say Summer Moon.
Oh my God. Poor Sheena. She just can't. She just, yeah. I mean, like, when Sheena's podcast comes out on Friday, I'm curious what her podcast will be this week. That's the other thing too. I hope in the off season, and I know people probably this won't be a popular opinion, but I really hope that they like put a kibosh on the cast talking about Vanderpump Rules. I think we need a little bit of a clean break. Like, let's try to find other things that we love and talk about it, or talk about the Valley, but like, let's like, you know, decompress a little bit. I know this isn't popular opinion, but I feel like you gotta let the air out of the bag at some point. and like kind of see where these people go without that. But I do wonder sometimes, like I'm scared. Like I wonder if they're scared in terms of all the cast podcasts. Like, are they scared of where they go from here?
Yeah, I do agree with you because I feel like so much was leaked because of that, and there wasn't much to look forward to, and I feel like we almost got more sometimes out of podcasts and stuff than we did this season, which is very unfortunate. But really, yeah, what would the cast do? What would Sheena and Lala do if they can't, or Tom, if they can't talk about this show? Because Ariana, she doesn't have a podcast. She ain't talking about the damn show. Katie has a podcast, but she very seldom talks about the show. So if you take the podcast element out of Sheena's and Lala's, I'm going to say they're not going to get the views that they want.
Yeah, I don't listen to Lala's podcast. No offense to Lala, not for any particular, but like, does she talk about other things besides Vanderpump Rules? Like, does she?
I mean, she
have
tries.
Guests? Yeah.
No, it's basically an echo chamber of her and then that Jessica girl just laughing and going, yeah, Lala. And then her brother like, oh, these baby bitches.
People will send me clips of that. And all like when I hear those clips, I just hear those two voices in the background going, totally. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally.
Ryan, that's the whole podcast. That is honestly, and I never signed up for Lala Kent's take on these like, pop culture topics and stuff. And also now maybe I would have before, but now that I know you just talk whichever way the paycheck's coming, well, then I'm not really interested because I feel like I'm not going to get this realness that you again were promoting, because when people provide commentary, you want what they think.
Yeah, no, I mean, like that. I'm not worried about Vanderpump Rules. Like I'm excited for the season to be like, we'll be able to talk about so many other things. Like there's so many great things in pop culture to talk about, so many great shows and so many other things to laugh about, where I'm like, because I don't know if you got like this too, but I think by the end of these 2 seasons, it bums me out because it's like, you look at humanity in general, like, and not to look at these shows too deeply, but you do start to think about like, man, this is so toxic. And like, you look at your own life and you look at all of these things and you're just like, man, how do you pick yourself up and dust yourself off? And when you see Tom not taking any kind of accountability or showing really any kind of true remorse, it truly, it bummed me out. Like, and that's a weird parasocial relationship I have that I should look at, but it really did bum me out because once again, I wanted him to be better. I wanted him to be like, I don't know why I'm like this. And if you read that New York Times interview, the thing that really stood out to me to this day was that like, I live my life in 3 different like experiences: when I film it, when I have to talk about it in a talking head, and then when the audience receives it. Like he's like, even moments that are not filmed, that's how he lives his life. And I'm like, you need to decompress. You need to take a year off and go live a fucking life away from you thinking you're on camera all the time. Because I mean, there's going to be studies one day. We're going to have to take care of these people for the rest of our lives. We're going to have to know who Tom Sandoval is in our 70s. Like, think about that. Like these shows, like Lala seems to think this is something like, it's like a post office thing where you can have a job for 50 years. You're not supposed to have this job this long. You're not supposed to be a reality star. And the fact that they're in their 11th season, that's like, that doesn't happen. That's lightning in a bottle. And like, but you can't depend on that. And all of these people seem to depend on it now. And that really worries me because I've always said from the beginning, it's like, there's only so much tummy tea that can be promoted,
Exactly. And you would think that there would be, bigger and better business ventures they could get from this audience, similar to Housewives and their businesses and products. But it seems like the Vanderpump Rules people, this cast really hasn't had the best ideas for business or had to borrow money from their mom. And so they're so reliant on this show and its paycheck. But coming back to
it's not my fault you bought a house. It's not my fault you bought a house.
Exactly.
It's like, why do I have to feel guilty? Well, like it's not Ariana's fault. It's not like
and you're literally Lala's literally on her Amazon Live and on after shows talking about these $10,000, $20,000 purses. Okay, well, if you can't afford your mortgage, sell some of them purses, girl, because you're not a real housewife. So that's not our problem. Like your finances are your business. and you are here to do your job. That's like me getting on here every day and going, hey guys, I don't know if I'm going to make mortgage this month. It's just, you guys really aren't bringing it. You guys really aren't, it's like,
well, like, like, listen, I have a Patreon, I have all of these things, and it's like, yeah, I want, but like, I don't think you'll ever see me, like, I don't think I've ever done something so egregious where I'm like, you need to support me. It's not working out the way I wanted it to. Like, I need to lease a new Corolla. Like, I'm just like, whatever happens. Hopefully I'll be able to earn whatever I get. Like, and that's why, by the way, that's why I do such extremely long podcasts, because I'm like, yeah, you have to listen to some commercials, but I'm going to try to go over what normal people do. I want to give you, like, I want you to like get sick of it if you need to, but I want you to get like a free experience where if you need this, it's here for you. I'm not looking to just like do any kind of money grab ever. And it's not that I don't need money, because I do, but I want to be able to earn it. I want to be able to say that I earned it at the end of the day.
Exactly.
People keep trying to, so Little Lala, what up, bitch? I'm Little Lala. Little Lala, unfortunately, is a horrible character I created. That is Lala's private
Don't say
parts.
it's horrible. Don't
Sorry.
say it's
Well, no, because it's offensive. It's it's Lala's private parts. It'd be like, what up, bitch? You talk about me? I'm Little Lala.
So it's like Lala's labia.
It's Lala,
is that
but yeah, it's not something I'm proud of. I don't know. If people else think of it, sorry.
When you brought up the article, I do have to say my favorite part about the New York Times Magazine is when Sandoval in the interview, he goes upstairs to, I don't know, take a shit, what he likes to say he does.
And
all
the
time.
and the girl.
Oh my God. And the girl is like, yeah, Riley, his 23-year-old PR person that didn't last very long. She's like, yeah, sometimes he says stuff. And then the next day he doesn't remember he said it. Like, oh my God, I just want Riley to be interviewed, because it was so, Ryan, that article, they should have talked about that article. They should have like you, I broke it down too and did a whole live about it, because
what
Riley
a treat
alone,
that was.
Such a treat. The author, the journalist did such a great job. So
the
to
characters.
See them, the characters, and how Riley is this, she's his PR person, but she's basically like, I don't really know who this guy is. He's like my dad's age, but I don't. He like plays the guitar and he like screams. I don't really know. He's like gets drunk.
I mean, it really does. I said this in one of the episodes. It's like, I would love, and I hope one day they will make, sooner rather than later, they need to make a Lifetime movie of Scandival. And they need to like cast people in those characters, and they need to have scenes like the New York Times interview. Like, it would be the perfect Lifetime movie of like reenacting a lot of these key moments or speculating what happened behind the scenes. Could you imagine like whoever would get like DJ Dame's Kennedy? Like, it would be such a great thing to cast this, not with known actors, but just who they would get, like Lifetime actors that would portray these people.
Because even when they do on Watch What Happens Live, when they have the like the actors on the celebrities, when they have them kind of read or do the scenes, I enjoy that. I think that's actually a really good segment on Watch What Happens Live, to see them, the dramatic or sometimes even less dramatic interpretation that they provide for us. I really I enjoy that. I think it's pretty funny. But
somebody saying puppet show.
I know, I saw that, a puppet show.
I think Danny has started doing a puppet thing, which is hysterical. Pellegrino, it's really good.
Oh, he did.
He was reenacted. Yeah, I saw. We were talking. Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Well, I did hear Schwartz. Speaking of people like doing things, Schwartz was talking about on Kristen's podcast.
The Vandercrawl?
I don't know if you heard. Yeah, that he's going to do that, but he's also going to do rewatches, and I think almost recaps of previous seasons, and he wants to DJ at Sharts and Skeezies.
Every guy, Kyle Cook from Summer House. I think it's like, that's like, it's always like DJing is like the end all be all. The Vandercrawl, I think, is interesting. $400 to go to 3 bars with these people. One of my friends,
they should pay people to do that, not get paid.
Well, that's one of my friends, Tracy Morrissey, was like, oh, I'll come out to LA if you do this. And I was like, I don't know if I could. Like, it sounds fun, but like, I still haven't talked to Sandoval throughout any of this. And I just,
would you, Ryan? Like, would you talk to him? Would you like, what?
I don't know, because I don't. Like, it's like Sheena was like one thing where you can like, I feel like I can express myself, and like whether she wants to take that or not. But Sandoval, it's like, you obviously have seen so many times where he just doesn't listen, and he's not really able to see another point of view. So you're automatically wrong. And I don't know, like, I've talked so much shit, but like in ways that I feel like were deserved. And for what I do, like I've always done this. So it's like, yeah, man, you just became the person that I was like before you. It was like Erica Jane or Lisa Rinna, but now it became you because you did something so egregious and you kept going with it. You never shut your mouth. You kept doubling down. You hung yourself at every time. And I'm sorry, a lot of that really like inspires some like really weird comedy, or it'll get my mind on fire, or you'll be able to process it in a certain way. And that's how I process things. I don't know. Like, and I think sometimes I would also default to like feeling bad. And I don't think I should necessarily feel bad about this yet. Like, like I don't want Tom to ever hurt himself, but I would love him to eventually realize what he did, like that he actually authored all of this. He authored his own, not downfall, because he's not downfall. This isn't canceled, but he did this to himself. And I still don't think he understands it. I still think he thinks pins and batteries and lack of sex did this and not his own actions.
And Rachel's tits. Don't forget Rachel's tits and getting naked in the pool.
She, are you kidding me? She naked, dude, fully naked. I saw nipples, everything. You think that's me, dude? Whipped cream bikini, dude. Varsity blue, dude. Varsity blue.
Well, the thing with Tom Sandoval is when they were trying to push this narrative early on of, oh God, he's canceled and we're not getting, any, it's going to hurt our business. No, it's like, no, Tom Sandoval has been on TV more than he ever has in his life. He was on 3 shows.
Oh, so he was talked about on Saturday Night Live last week, tonight with John Oliver. And part of that, I'm sure, is like, oh, they're ragging on me, but he kind of loves that. He's kind of his kink at this point.
He loves
like
it.
The fact
it is
that
his
people,
kink.
yes, like he's very.
So you never
aware.
have to feel bad about this. I feel like the audience was put in such a shit position, and so was the cast when Sheena and Lala were called in to talk to Lisa Vanderpump, and his mental health was weaponized. And like, oh, if you don't talk to him, darling, he will hurt himself. And then we hear him at the reunion go on to say, yeah, Ariana, she said she was going to hurt herself, so I couldn't leave her. And he kept weaponizing, and people kept having to re-explain why and how that was hurtful and why he shouldn't be weaponizing her mental health or using that as an excuse not to man up and hiding behind it. And then for him to go, well, I didn't even believe her. Oh, so you don't believe Ariana? So then I made the stance.
He was like,
I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Textbook manipulation by a female, dude. It was like she did 5 other things that I don't believe any of them were true, dude. But like even Sheena makes that great point in the last scene of last season of like, you be a man and you walk away and then you let us handle it. You let her friends rally around her. And that to me, because us men, we're fucking thick we're dumb as hell, is that like, yes, that is what you do. You walk away and you like, if this is something that you believe you don't want to be in, you walk away and you hope she has the support system to actually get her through that, and that, by the way, Ariana at the end of the day is way smarter than Tom. So she would have gotten through it. Of course she's not going to love it. Of course she's not going to be like, yeah, leave him.
No one would.
Yeah, dude, do what you wanted. And that's the other thing too. We'll never get the honest truth about this, was that he had, like, remember, this wasn't planned. He got caught. He was going to do this in the off season. He was waiting until after the reunion. This is what even that New York Times article kind of speculates, is that like, he had staged this in his mind. He was going to break up in the offseason. He was going to slowly introduce Rachel.
Rebrand.
And then they were going to they were going to like come into the new season. People would champion them. So even I think in Rachel's mind, she pictured herself as like, oh, wow, I'll be like one of the top dogs. Like I'll be one of the, wow. Like, so I think they both positioned it to themselves. They both wrote this story in their head and it kind of all got screwed up. And I think Ariana was so smart to immediately call producers and immediately say, cameras up. And it really changed the course of all of their lives. And all of them for the better, even Tom Sandoval. All of them for the better.
100%. And yeah, like you said, they did plan this. So when Tom wants to, we know he's dumb. Like he is dumb, but he's dumb, but he's not stupid. So he knew that he could leave Ariana. Of course he did. He's not an idiot. He knows he can leave. He didn't want to because he was having his cake and eating it too. And then he was also able to then figure out this rebrand so that he could try to villainize Ariana, and they could also throw Katie in there too. And they could, I believe, just like usher Rachel in and Joe in and just dismiss these two women who have stood by their side for so long. And he thought he was that smart that he could get away with it. So he knew he could leave. He knew what the right thing to do was 100%. He chose to do the wrong thing.
Also, I think he was scared. He was a pussy. He was like looking out for, like, he didn't have that like ability to be able to be honest in those moments. And it wasn't he was scared of Ariana hurting herself. He was just scared of doing the actual deed of how do I do this? And I think he pressured himself into thinking about other things besides the greater good. And for somebody that says, "Oh, I care so much about Ariana and love," at the end of the day, you just like Lala, I believe Tom hates Ariana. I believe and he hates her now more than ever. So like, it is wild. And it seems like Ariana, even in the third episode of the previews that we've seen, even with that, like you see this moment where he's like, I know I did the one thing that I promised I would never do to you, but I'm so sorry. And you get this conversation, you have this visualization of this thing that he promised her and that she really needed. And he broke that promise. And for Ariana, if you break that promise, I speculate, then that really is, it's a hard line and that's it.
Yeah. I don't want to watch that, Ryan. I don't want to watch him. And then my heart breaks
then watch
every time she has
watch
to
the last
go.
couple of minutes. Watch the last couple of minutes. They're all going to have to watch those last couple of minutes where Lala talks shit. Sheena agrees. Tom, like they're all going to have to watch that. It's weirdly brilliant. And it's very upsetting because Ariana, admits that she has not watched this season. And that's wild. And she wasn't ignorant about the season, but she didn't watch it.
I think what they're doing is people are like, why are they doing this to hurt Ariana? Well, I do think it's directly from Andy hosting the traders, and that's what they do at the traders. And it's always like so entertaining when they have them. They wait to reveal who won the season and they all watch it together and they get their reactions right there at the reunion. So I think I'm just speculating that Andy just was like, hey, we did this cool thing on the traders. And I think this is something I would love to know if you agree, but this is something we're going to see on them doing on Housewives. I think this
100%.
will be the last time
if you have a very dramatic ending, something really special, I think definitely, because you also want people to come in real fresh. And that's what, think about Lala's press tour. Like I talked about earlier, Lala has not seen those last couple of minutes and she has this whole monologue she's going to have to answer for. And she probably flips a lid again. She flipped a lid in that moment. We're going to see her flip a lid again. And she's going to start pointing fingers because no finger can ever be pointed at her. So she's going to I think go off on everybody. So it'll be really, really interesting. I'm really excited about that, but I also don't want to hype it up too much because it might end up being disappointing. You never know.
Yeah, because just with the small edits they've shown us with things, kind of like they did it. It was so dumb how they did when Allie left James for 2 nights, she went to Schwartz's and then it's like similar to how they built up this kiss from 37 years ago between Sheena and Schwartz for this upcoming season. The way they edited the promo was like they were going to.
Oh, I know. Or even like how they edited the mid-season trailer and they put in the line that they didn't show on the actual show, but they showed in the reunion of Sheena going, we're not gonna be together for the rest of our lives. Yeah. Remember that? And then in the context of the conversation we saw on the reunion, she said, well, because one of us will die before the other. Yeah. And so they add that, which by the way, that's like kind of like funny, but that really truly is how Sheena's mind works. She's like, we'll be together, but one of us will die before, like she's already thinking that far ahead. That's how like her mind spins out. Is like she really is thinking that far down the line, but at the end of the day, one of us will die before the other, and I already have to relive that. I have to relive that pain right now. That's fascinating to me because we can all laugh about it because it is kind of funny, but like truly, it's true. That's how her mind works, and that's why I have some empathy for Sheena. And like I said, it's I know her a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, it'll be interesting to see a year from now. I would love to talk to Sheena a year from now about how she now views this season. And she even admits that like she doesn't talk to really Tom or Ariana anymore. I know. Like this was all for naught. And I know, and well, then I wake up today and I see that they were out with Jeremy, Ariana's brother, for his birthday yesterday. And Ariana wasn't there. I was like, oh, don't start this. It's going to be a long summer if we're trying to get at Ariana in weird ways, or I don't know, man. She's
already kind of been doing that because when Jeremy Maddox got engaged, he immediately went over to Sheena. She posted on her stories. We know that he's calling out his sister. I just think Jeremy gives me weird vibes. When he was on the show, he gave me weird vibes. Don't include the family. It's going to be the Gorgas versus the Judices 2.0. And I can't handle this, Ryan. It's so boring.
It would be funny if like they do a spinoff called like the B Team. And it's like Jeremy, Joe, I'm trying to
Oh,
Billy
God.
Lee, like just it's like the Peter can even be in it. Maybe like just have like the cast
Peter will be the
offs.
only sane one.
It'll be like B Team coming soon.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of which, Joe is doing very few interviews. She did Billy Lee, she did the Vanderpump Rules Party podcast, and Rachel Raquel. Would you interview her? Do you plan on asking her to come on?
No, I don't have any plans to ask her. No, I mean, just to be honest with you, I like the Vanderpump Rules Party ladies, but I was like, oh, it's a tough, and it's, I just don't know if I could fake being that,
You really have to stroke her.
happy. Yeah, I don't know if I could stroke,
Like
because
that.
there are
Yeah.
elements of Joe that I really like, but I don't think that's the interview that I would be really interested. I do sometimes wonder, and I would ask Ariana before I did ever, but I would always, and I don't think I would ever ask, but if I would be curious to talk to Rachel at some point.
Mhm.
Just because I've had a personal curiosity on some things, and I would love to just ask as a viewer and somebody that's listened to a couple of her shows. But I don't know. Like, I don't, it's hard though. I mean, like I want to try to challenge myself and stretch myself, but I don't know if there would be anything in there. And it's like the person's got to be willing to actually talk. Like so many of these
Yeah.
interviews, it's very watered down, or you're having to like agree and not push back. And I don't know if that sometimes provides the best listening experience, even though it gets like the most clicks. I don't know if I could walk away being super proud of it,
Yeah, that's what I felt like just listening to half of the Vanderpump Rules Party. Those women were being so kind and empathetic to Joe. And I think I'm just like, I don't know them, but I think they're coming from a place of feeling like she is being bullied. And so they want to give her a voice. And they said that their platform has done that before, given people on the show who might not be the most popular, but they've given them a voice. So props to them for that. But I did notice they had to kind of agree with her and the stance on Katie to kind of get her to open up, or maybe they really feel that way. But it's just like, I don't think you can challenge people like Joe and
that's the
Sandoval.
thing, because I saw them then at the opening of Something About Her taking a picture with Katie and Ariana, and I was like, I don't know if I would then be able to like, hey, Katie, like I would find that I would feel, but I'm built probably a little different. Like I have a lot of guilt about a lot of weird guilt all the time. So I don't know if I could really handle that in my own mental health journey, but I would be interested in, I would love to talk to Brittany at some point. Like there are people that you get the feeling that you could potentially get something out of. Like I love when I talk to Dodie, because she's usually like more than honest, like way too honest. I think I've never talked to Brittany, and I would be interested just at this point, especially to talk to her, but also to go back into the past and talk about moments in Vanderpump Rules. Ariana, I think, will be coming on in a bit, and I'm excited to talk to her.
That's so exciting.
Well, who knows? She's been, but Katie, obviously would always love to talk to again. I don't think I could ever talk to Jax, even though people have tried to make that happen. I just don't know. I don't know, like, I don't think you would really get tons out of. I would love to, I think I'm going to talk to Janet from the Valley. I think I'm going to,
What's your thoughts on Janet? Because Janet I'm just getting caught up now. I've been recapping the Valley, but I'm like 2 episodes behind, but I just watched, I'm like 1 episode behind now. Janet's getting she's getting like the Lala Sheena treatment. And she was an early favorite of mine.
Well, and listen, I think it's really interesting. And I know Janet a little bit from before all of this. So she's a really interesting character because she does have this actual relationship with these people, which that's why I think she's perfect for this, because there's so much stuff she knows. Like there's so many things. Like she's another person. She is somebody that really is very involved. She is in the Reddits. She is in the comments. She does, but at the same time, she has like the henchmen. Like I thought it was like so funny in so many ways, and she really truly loves reality shows. So I can't wait to talk to her about like what it feels like to be perceived all of a sudden. She's always been around these people, but now she's in on the action, and to actually be perceived as a villain, whether that be the case or not, what does that feel like? And because I just find that interesting to know her a little bit, but God, I think the Valley is actually really good, and I'm really excited to see where we do go from this, because the thing with Janet though is she's smart. She's, I'm not saying like she's like the most brilliant person in the world, but if they're kind of having this face off between Dodie and Dodie and Janet. And I was saying on the podcast that because I recapped 2 episodes of The Valley on today's podcast, so go check it out if you like The Valley. And what I found interesting was that they're kind of facing off, but it's like Dodie has like unhinged power. Like she doesn't even like, it's just unhinged. And it's like, she's like a legend from OG Vanderpump Rules, but she's unhinged and she works, but she doesn't necessarily know how to control her power. Now, Janet's somebody that I think can control things in a certain way, or like she can not manipulate, but she's not, it's just very different. So like this face off is very interesting. And I think Janet is potentially going to think about it as a general in a war, and Kristen's just going to react. And so it's going to be interesting to watch whatever showdown this is. And I am bummed that they're not going to have a reunion. They're just going to go into filming, but you got to think about this as truly the extension of Vanderpump Rules. And like, I mean, she knows so much dirt on all those people. Like, like there's like so much stuff we don't even know. There's so many, and it is funny to watch all of these people that have been in those friend groups, like slowly make their way onto TV. And it's really, really interesting.
It is, because Janet has been on the peripheral, and she's been in the back. Like we've seen her in multiple seasons. She's one of Sheena's boss friends. And so she knows a lot. I think at one point they were saying Dana wanted a threesome with Janet, and back in season 8, there was reference to that. So she's been around. Yeah.
Well, and the funny thing, like, and it is interesting. Like I was reading something today on some Instagram, and they were like, she's a grifter. She targeted Sheena to be friends with her to eventually get, and I'm just like, oh my God, like we really like try to like, I mean, and I think Janet was just like, oh yeah, I love Vanderpump Rules. I went up to Sheena, we wound up friends. But it is interesting how we now perceive things of like, it's got to be this very dramatic 3 to 6 year plan on how to get your own reality show. You're like, wow, it was, it's like sometimes things just happen in life. We always now have to have a conspiracy because we've been lied to so much on reality show in our lives, that there has to be a bigger story than what it just is. But
so they're claiming she's like a Jackie I call her Jackie Goldschlager. She's a Jackie Goldschlager with Teresa.
With Teresa. And look, it finally worked. Jackie and Teresa are finally genuine friends, allegedly.
Oh my gosh. Are you watching Jersey?
I'm behind because I was overseas, and I behind 2 episodes, but it's not like the thing that I run to, because the social media of that to me is just like got me really bummed about the show, where I was like,
no idea it ran that deep. I hadn't covered it in a while, and I decided to jump back in the season, and some of my wonderful people here were sending me like how involved like bloggers and stuff are, and how I was just like, this is scary.
Or like I'll read, it is wild. And I will say, from my end, like I'm friendly with certain people and all that, but I will always try to still be as honest as I can. There are people that I really like, but I'll still like, if they have a bad show, they have a bad show. But it is interesting, like the things that I'll read of like, Bravo's paying these people to I'm like, listen, guys, nobody's ever reached out to me. Like nobody from Jersey. I've interviewed Margaret. I've interviewed Melissa. Nobody's ever offered me like, could you post this? I've never been approached. So it is wild to read some of these like Twitter people that they're like approached. I'm like, what? I mean, it's so weird. And there's such a self-importance about it all, where I'm like, wait, can we just watch the show and maybe talk about what's on the show and not try to create what the show is? Like, I find we shouldn't, like, I love doing this with all my heart, but I shouldn't be involved in how this show runs.
No.
Like, unless we produce our own reality show, and then we can do that. But other than that, like, I should not, like, nobody should go to me from Vanderpump Rules and say, what do you think the storyline should be? Like, well, but now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm like, well, maybe they should actually.
As you were saying it, I'm
now
like, they could actually use.
I actually wouldn't mind for Vanderpump, but no, it's the Jersey thing. No, I'll watch it. I'll get into it, but the social media aspect of it kind of ruins it for me, because I don't want to ever think about like that people on Twitter are affecting the outcome of what I'm seeing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I think it makes sense. Just a little bit that I was researching about it, I'm like, oh God, this is going really deep. And they're just like these, names like Melissa's old nose. And you're just like, oh my God, like we're getting involved.
But it's always, and no offense to these accounts, but it's like always accounts with like 1,000 followers. And I'm just like, that's awesome. That's a good, but you're like not even going to like huge accounts. And I'm like, this isn't even a person that I was even aware of, or like I would see like on Twitter scrolling, but it was never a thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I think it maybe also just be my age where I kind of just like, I'm there to make a joke or make myself laugh. And I might make a broader point on the podcast, but I don't get involved in like, well, remember when people were trying to push the narrative that Rachel was pregnant, and like that got put out as a rumor. And I was like, even that to me was like, guys, like, come on, like, just let's stop. Like, it's already crazy enough. Don't make it crazier to try to like get a following.
Yeah, and I do think it is once you get to a certain age too, that's like, Jolene, are you going to go party here with this? It's like, no, I'm 44.
Well,
I'm going to stay home.
The thing. It's like, there used to be a day when it was like, used to be a time when it was like so fun to go to like Tom Tom or hang out like this. But like, even with the sandwich shop, like I want to support that completely. But they're like, are you going today? I'm like, I got a busy day, man. I'm doing this. Then I got to do the recap and then I got to do the Patreon later. And like, I'll definitely go and I fully support, but I'm like, there would have been a time where I would have like ran out there. And I know that's like fun for people that listen or like follow me, but it's like, there's so much, things get busy and, but it's like, I fully support. It's just that I'm not, I don't know if I want to be on the front lines like that anymore.
Yeah, we get sleepy, you guys. Well, Ryan, obviously, I love anytime you come here. I know a lot of people sent some questions via super chat. I'm just going to make sure we answer everyone's question. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Melissa. Lindsay says, AJ, and my two faves. What a great afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
I
Lindsay.
Appreciate that. Evelyn, we love you right back. Leah, thank you.
That's a great question, Evelyn. Thank you.
Yes. Jill, Christine, Linda, Valerie, Rylene is really a thing.
That's going to be we'll start a new podcast called Rylene and see how that goes.
Right. We're going to sell it. Sheena sold Tori the same dream that Sandoval and Billy sold T. You're going to make it big as long as you do what I say. Ooh, Chumbawamba coming in with some.
Chumbawamba.
I mean, Chumbawamba.
Knocked down.
But I get up again. And I'm never going to get. Oh, that was a banger.
She said she wouldn't. She said she would run a train. She did.
She did say she would run a train. I like Ryan's name today. Yeah, Rotten Hell.
Pamela.
Christina, thank you. Please get married and do lives every day. I think my husband would be mad.
Yeah, I think my girlfriend would hate that. Yeah.
So
but thank you.
We can be podcast married, okay?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Fun talk. Sandoval is narcissistic, but Schwartz is most toxic. Uses aw shucks. I think we talked about this intentionally.
Yeah.
Manipulate. Comforted Joe. 100% agree with you. I think he's very toxic. This is still my favorite.
Yes. You can't. You can't.
She gets motion sickness. And when I've went to Big Bear, Ryan, have you been to Big Bear? I assume you've been to Big Bear.
Yeah.
I love it. But I went there like right after my husband and I eloped on the way back from Vegas. We're like, let's go to Big Bear. And we drove up the mountain and I've never been more car sick in my life. So I do think Brittany could have just been fucking car sick.
Or have we considered that you're an alcoholic?
I am an alcoholic. I've been sober since 2012. So that there you go.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Yeah. Oh my God. I thought you were joking back to me. Like, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. What a way to end the live. Have you ever considered
how did you
problem?
know? But like, I would have been so grateful for you had I not have gotten sober by now. I'd be like, he sees it. He sees through me. You could have, in another universe, you could have saved my life. Okay. In another realm. Christina, thank you, says, what about Sheena on the Valley? Love you both. I say no. I think Brian.
I think they're going to do crossovers. The only thing I would love, because Sheena and Janet have had a very interesting relationship over the years. I would love to explore that a little bit on the Valley, but I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's needed yet.
No, me neither. End up says, someone pointed out her outfit was a dark version. That's Joe's dress of Katie's.
Oh, Joe's, yeah.
I saw the side by side. It did look like it. Kate says, if Lala and Sheena were given opportunities like Dancing with the Stars and Broadway, they would fail, and they know it. All they have is the show. Ariana shines, Kate.
I think that's the amazing thing about like a celebrity, or like Lala said something so offensive to me on the first part of the reunion on the after show, or maybe it was the season finale, where she was like, nobody gave a shit about Ariana in previous seasons, and all of a sudden what she says goes. And I thought it was like the most toxic comment ever. And what I love about like pop culture and celebrity is that somebody can be there for all of this time, and then they get like an opportunity and they take it and they shine. And that's what's so great about pop culture, is that, one of my old teachers was just like, with, like, what is it? Luck preparation with a little bit of luck, and then the right opportunity comes along and you're able to actually shine through. And this was her moment to shine through, and she shone through. And you don't want to knock that. I think that's what's great, is that there are stars in all of us, and we're like, it just you just have to have that right opportunity, and you have to work hard once you get that opportunity. And it doesn't take away the pain from certain situations that got you there, but that's what's amazing. And I do fear if Sheena does get Dancing with the Stars, I mean, it would be so sad, because I just get scared that then like the fan base would vote her off immediately, and then that would be tragic, and I don't want that either. So it's
not the time. And Andy like begging for it was just like, no, just.
But then Sheena, classic Sheena, she's like, not this year. I want it for my 40th. No, I want it for my 40th.
She's got it all planned out.
I love it, but that's great. It's like she really does think these things out. She's thought out the rest of her life.
She really has. Artist, thank you so much. Artist says, hello, Joleen and Ryan Bailey. I watch you, Ryan, and have for years. Love you, Joleen. Well, we appreciate that. Gemini Joe, thank you.
She's like, I watch you through the window for years.
I stalk you. Kelly Cal says, love you both so much. I talk to your videos, Ryan. So you're always live to me. So people want me to talk you into doing live streams on YouTube. Are you ever?
Yeah, I don't know how to do. I mean, you said this last time, and Mediza and Sandra, who I work with, I definitely want to do one of those. I just don't really know fully how, and I don't know if anybody would show up. And definitely. But I will say to the audience, I do have a Patreon. We're going live at 5 p.m. today for like an hour.
Fun.
We're going to talk about like the Valley, Vanderpump Rules, whatever anybody wants to talk about. We do it once a month. So if anybody wants to join the Patreon, patreon.com/so-bad-it's-good for more. By the way, sorry to throw that out, but that's what we do right now. But I would love to do one of these lives. These are so exciting, and I love reading the chat and stuff. It's because like this can be so isolating, and especially when I get into a solo recap that are like 3 hours, it's weirdly isolating where you feel like you're losing your mind. So it's so nice to like know that other people are here.
Well, yeah, and this energy, and we always say it's like a therapy session, especially as you get through this season. So without having all of these wonderful people, I would be like going crazy. So I don't know how you do it.
Well, you just admitted you're an alcoholic. You just admitted that like in the therapy session right now. That's huge.
Yeah, I admit that way too much. That and my age and my weight, and people are like, "That you're not supposed to."
Oh God, I went over. I admitted today on the podcast, I gained 10 pounds in the last week overseas. And I was like, what the, like, I will never leave town again. 10 pounds. That's insane.
Yeah. But that's like my superpower. I can gain weight no matter what I do. Like I'm technically, my ADHD medication is also for binge eaters. And I've even had doctors say, yeah, this should have made you lose weight. I'm like, no, that's my superpower is I can gain weight even on anything. I could snort Adderall and gain weight. Like I'm hungry. I'm a hungry bitch. That's how it is. Christina, thank you. And the llama one more time. Brandy
Okay.
I love that TMZ guy impression. Jen Knoll says, are we glossing over? Lala throwing Brittany under the bus. Oh, that we're going to see
the
that
scene from next week. Yeah.
And how kidding until she realizes Summer Moon gets more attention than Ocean. So Sheena is next. Oh, under the bus. Yeah, there was that clip. And it was basically Lala saying that she was going to go toes with Brittany and Jax over a comment. Brittany, right after her baby gender reveal, Brittany texted her, I guess, and said something about Lala stealing their nanny. And Lala said, there's a difference between a nanny and a babysitter
and nanny. And like, I don't know, you guys. It's like, okay, fascinating story. Yes.
Yeah. Like if that's what you're going to bring to the Valley, stay in Palm Springs. Okay. Short Stack. Thank you. Says I'm behind, but my opinion is Schwartz lost his boner the minute Joe wanted to be on the show. Well, he kind of said that, but then Joe makes it seem like he wanted her on the show. And I kind of think he did because he wanted to kind of weaponize her against Katie.
I think he wanted to have backup in a weird way. And I think she said, I'll be there for you and Sandoval in a tough season. And I think he was trying to protect his dude. But I don't think he thought through some of the ramifications of all of that. And also how many voices do you think and sounds when they had sex that they would make together? Like,
oh my God, I really like this, Tom. I do too, Joe. That is, oh my goodness. And Joe, she was also, again, hashtag she's so relatable, not a pick me. She was like, yeah, I would have I don't remember where she was saying this or where I heard this, but she was saying that I would have the producers cracking up because I'm just like, I'm not like the other girls. I'm not like a regular girl. I'm a cool girl. And I usually just wear lip gloss and I'm behind the scenes. I don't wear makeup like the other girls. And I would just be like, I farted. And you're like, wow, like we haven't seen this archetype before of the cool girls.
Joseph, oh my God.
Joseph just ripped one. So I imagine
Light a
their
match, Joseph.
sex sessions are just them farting on each other. VA from NY, thank you, says, has anyone seen Schwartz speak candidly about anything? No. Or does he always deflect with his weird kind of humor? Yes.
Oh yeah, even in the second part of the reunion when he was like, oh, I just want to take a second. I apologize for being such like a sloppy like mess of a person in the past. Like all of a sudden he always does that. Like I just want a blanket apology for like I was like messy. Like it was like I'm so glad we're past that, but like I just want to apologize real quick before we start this segment. Like he'll immediately try to like diffuse it.
And it's so, I mean, it's just like that's not an apology, sir. Amy, no flipping why. I love your name. Says, love you both. Love you right back. Lindsay says, that's what makes your show great, Ryan. The integrity and the thought behind everything you do. And I think that's what someone said in the chat. Like you have a conscience. You're just not willing to. So that's why you like think about shit.
Thank you.
Which is a novel idea in this little world of ours. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for a wonderful show. You guys are so welcome. Ryan, you are
Did
always
we get to
fantastic.
1,000 likes? Do we know if we got to the likes? What did we get?
Let me double check and see where we're at for likes. We've had, like 900 strong during the live. So there's a chance we could have hit
Can people watch it afterwards and like it?
Yes, they definitely can.
Okay.
They definitely
Okay,
can.
good.
Let me see where we're at for likes here, you guys.
Because I will be burning myself right now if we do not.
He'll hurt himself.
It-
Oh, you
I
guys,
will
we
hurt-
have 517 likes.
Oh my God.
You have to halfway burn yourself.
Are you kidding me? This is 2+ hours. We didn't even get 1,000. Wow, people hate me this much. This is
If
so
you
wild.
guys, if something happens to Ryan Bailey, it's your fault, darling. Okay, if something happens to Ryan Bailey, it is your fault.
I am going to weaponize my mental health right now. If we don't get to
Yes.
1,000 likes in the next minute, something is going to happen bad. No,
He's gonna start a karaoke band, darling.
Yeah, that's by the way. I do want to say really quick. Can I plug some things?
Plug all the things, please.
Okay. So, the podcast, So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. We had a bunch of great interviews last week. Danny Pellegrino, Dave Holmes from MTV. We had Paul Scheer this week promoting his new book, but then I did
saw that. That's
Vanderpump
awesome.
Rules Part 1 reunion recap, 7 days late, but it's there if anybody wants to we do a line by line, like kind of reenactment of the whole show, but then I add a bunch of BS on top of it. And then today we did 2 episodes, the past 2 episodes, The Valley. And then tomorrow I will be doing the Part 2 line by line recap of Part 2. If anybody's interested in that, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any kind of thing and rate it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. We also have a YouTube if you want to see me do any of that stuff live. Yeah, sorry. I'm now not making any sense. And then of course the Patreon. But anyways, thank you guys. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I appreciate it.
Yes, and I dropped Ryan's website. So you actually encouraged me, I should say, or inspired me to get a .org because someone long ago has been messing with me and they bought joleenlunzer.com and now they have a broker holding on to it, like I have to, and so I haven't been able to have it. So I'm like, maybe I'm good, but it's like, why would you buy mine? I'm nobody, but they're like, they have more faith in me than I do. They think that I'm gonna,
I love that.
I might have to get a .org because Ryan's website is sobaditsgood.org and you can find all the links to everything he talked about. And can you remind me, I was listening to your Danny Pellegrino episode, which was great, by the way. What was the movie that Danny had never seen from the 90s that he was talking about?
Bicentennial Man.
I've never seen it either.
Bicentennial Man. It's such a weird Robin Williams movie, and he got obsessed with it, which is such a great pop culture thing. Are those like movies that you watch that like you forget about entirely, and all of a sudden you discover? And there's like so many weird little movies like that. And I was talking about my love of the movie Mannequin from the 80s, which is just a ridiculous movie about a man falling in love with a mannequin.
Wasn't there 2 Mannequin movies?
Yeah, Mannequin and Mannequin 2 on the Move. Yeah, great stuff.
It's not called On the Move.
Yeah, Mannequin 2 on the Move.
Which one is Kim Cattrall in?
The first one. The
And who's
second
in-
one is actually the girl who played Buffy in the movie version of Buffy Christy Swanson. He plays the mannequin in the second one, and she's now a very interesting person as well. But Meshack Taylor plays Hollywood, which is one of the first gay representation in film, even though Meshack Taylor was a straight man, but he plays Hollywood. So he's the only recurring character in both films.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I loved the conversation you and Danny had together. But as he was talking about that movie, I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen that. What is wrong with me?
It's wild. It's wild. I love the fact because I would not like come across Bicentennial Man and watch it. And I love that about Danny, what he's like, I'm going to settle in and watch Bicentennial Man. It's so good.
I love that about him too. All right, you guys, Ryan, stay here because I want to be able to say goodbye to you backstage. But you guys, again, go to sobaditsgood.org and you can find everything from Ryan's podcast, Patreon, all the Instagram, social media links.
Oh yeah, Instagram, So Bad It's Good with Ryan
channel.
Bailey. Yeah.
And definitely follow him on Instagram, obviously, because you are creating some fantastic, hilarious content. Obviously, shout out to all my super chatters today. Thank you so much, everyone joining us in the live chat. Make sure you hit that like on the way out. Leave a comment because we don't get to see all your comments. So when you leave a comment after the video post, we're able to go back and see what you guys thought. And I'll be back very soon with some more content. But I'm taking the rest of the night off because the Timberwolves are moved on and they're playing the Mavericks tonight. And it's the only time I like sports is when Minnesota is in stuff. So go Wolves. And you guys, I'll see you very soon. And like I always say, remember to enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Bye.